Chapter 1642. The wild ghost man was surrounded by the flames. The flames burned the sky, even the danger zone was burned to ashes. Countless rocks were turned into nothingness, even the space storm had to give way. The wild ghost man had never been so miserable, his screams caused the sky to change color. Those who offend me never have a good ending. Yi Qinghan's voice was sinister, using the words of the divine bird, like servant, like master, like master, like master, like spirit pet. Spare me, desolate lord. The wild ghost man screamed and begged, dancing in the flames, his body twisted, the stench filling the sky. Yi Qinghan controlled the flames and trapped the wild ghost man here. He said coldly, "Now you know how to beg for mercy? Countless people should be like you, kneeling in front of you and begging for mercy, but have you ever spared others? Today, I will let you taste the pain of the 18 levels of hell." 18 levels of hell? Too easy for him. I should let him taste the taste of reincarnation. Cliff, this divine bird has a stomach full of anger, but seeing you in such a miserable state, my mood is much better. The divine bird bared its fangs. Its feathers stood up straight as it angrily rebuked. "You bastard, desolate lord, I will not let you go even if I become a ghost." The wild ghost man rampaged in the flames. Although he was only a middle-level sector lord, his killing power was much more terrifying than a high-level sector lord, especially when normal people found it hard to injure him. Now, facing such a powerful fire source, he could still struggle. "I have also comprehended the fire source." The wild ghost man roared. His shrill roar reverberated throughout the 9 continents, causing people to shiver. "Then resist. The more you resist, the more excited I will be." Yi Qinghan grinned coldly, as if he was the devil and the wild ghost man was a lamb waiting to be slaughtered. Lin Wutian, Gu Qingyu and the others all appeared outside the danger zone, watching Yi Qinghan kill the wild ghost man. They finally let out a sigh of relief. They were really afraid that this guy would become an existence like Swan Padian. The wild ogre people and Yi Qinghan were fighting for the right to control the fire origin. The flames soared into the sky, and the area they covered became wider and wider. It continued to spread in all directions, and countless mountains and rivers were affected. Yen Ao and the others exchanged glances. Then, they spread out and blocked the fire origin at the outermost perimeter. This was merely the aftermath of the fire origin at a distance of 1 million li away. With so many experts dividing and refining the fire origin, it did not cause much damage. Yi Qinghan controlled the source of fire with one thought and controlled yin and yang with the other. The record of yin-yang appeared above his head and sent out countless divine lights. The runes turned into divine weapons and attacked the fire continuously. Bang bang bang. Boom. Boom. Wild Ghost's fire domain was pierced through. The flames burned his body. As long as his body was destroyed, the parasitic poison in his body would disappear. Roar! The wild ghoul roared angrily as he sped through the flames. Unfortunately, he couldn't break free from Yi Qinghan's imprisonment and was soon on the verge of death. Although his stinking body was like a world artifact, it could still be refined by the flames. His body continued to disintegrate, and a black skeleton appeared in the flames. Those poisonous creatures were still attached to the bones, and at this moment, they were screaming miserably, causing one's scalp to tingle. Yi Qinghan seemed to have an obsessive-compulsive disorder. He had to refine these poisonous creatures to feel refreshed. His mouth revealed a sinister and cruel smile. With a sudden burst, the temperature of the fire origin became even higher. Even the bones that had been soaked in the poison for countless years were being refined. The bones were melting quickly. Screech! The mournful roar was filled with negative emotions. It was like the deepest part of the reincarnation cliff, causing people to feel despair. Those at the outer perimeter felt as if their bodies were about to explode. They had no choice but to retreat quickly. Burning the heavens! Yi Qinghan roared. A cold light flashed through his eyes, and the cold light in his eyes was as sharp as a knife. Bang! One of his leg bones was burned, making it easier to attack from now on. The poisonous creature's defense was broken, and all of them rushed out of the bones, trying to find a way to survive. Desolate master. I beg you. Spare my life, I am willing to submit. The poisonous creature had a strong desire to live, and its soul rushed towards Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness. It only hoped that Yi Qinghan would show some mercy, and even if he used it, it would still be able to live. However, Yi Qinghan's killing intent was set, and he did not want to leave this poisonous creature alive, so he increased the burning speed. I have a fatal weakness. As long as you you can completely control me, and you will never have to worry about me betraying you. I beg you to be merciful. The wild man still did not want to give up, and screamed for mercy. Yi Qinghan's cold eyes flashed, and he activated the yin-yang profound record, and said coldly, once you enter the yin-yang profound record, you will never have the chance to reincarnate. Shua! The poisonous creature turned into a wisp of poison, and rushed into the yin-yang profound record. The profound mysteries within could kill it at any time. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and summoned the yin-yang profound record. With a thought, the fire disappeared, and the entire lacerated extremis became a void, and there was nothing else. Are we really going to let it go? I've never seen such a durable poisonous creature. If it were to enter a person's body, it would be easy for it to control a sector lord. The divine bird looked at Yi Qinghan suspiciously. Leaving this poisonous creature behind was too risky. Yi Qinghan sealed the yin-yang profound record. He felt that this thing still had some uses, and if he could completely control it, it could be a powerful weapon. Let's try it first. It won't be able to escape from my palm, and if it dares to disobey me again, I will make it regret not dying. Yi Qinghan coldly said. The poisonous creature hidden in the yin-yang profound record was trembling. It was now truly afraid of Yi Qinghan. He was too vicious, too cold-blooded, and his killing intent was set. Whoever provoked him would be unlucky. Yen Ao and the others surrounded. They all wanted to see what this poisonous creature was, and how could it be so powerful. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and controlled the yin-yang profound record, forcing out a strand of poisonous creature. This kind of poisonous creature was very small, but there were too many of them. When they gathered together, it was like a cloud of poisonous fog, but it was formed by many tiny creatures. Tell me, what is your fatal weakness? Yi Qinghan coldly asked. Master, we are heart poison insects. We can live in the human heart and control the human body. I am the insect queen mother. Only I have the soul and intelligence. Without me, my children will all die instantly. I can control every single heart poison insect. I can make them speak. I can control all living things. As long as you place a restriction on me, millions of heart poison insects will serve you. They will never betray you. The poisonous creature was terrified. It didn't dare to hide anything. Yi Qinghan slowly activated the heart-reading insect queen mother in the yin-yang profound record. It was the only one that was golden in color, and it was much bigger than the other heart poison insects. The soul fluctuation was indeed from it. It could speak through the other heart poison insects. It was quite mystical. The insect queen mother didn't even have the size of a fingernail, but it had all the vital organs, and most importantly, the strength of its soul was actually stronger than many humans. Interesting. Yi Qinghan smiled. Whoosh! Whoosh! This time, Yi Qinghan didn't just leave a strand of his consciousness in the insect queen mother's soul, he also left a strand of the yin-yang profound record's suppression talisman in its soul. As long as he willed it, no matter where it was, the yin-yang profound record could kill it in an instant. Chapter 1643. After subduing the insect queen mother, everyone finally heaved a sigh of relief. After subduing the insect queen mother, Yi Qinghan's soul soared into the sky. With the help of the heavenly Tao, he said in a deep voice, the wild ghosts have been killed, all souls have returned to the heart. Just wait for me to suppress Swan Parin. The 9 prefectures will be at peace and enjoy the prosperity of billions of years. As long as I'm alive, no one will dare to cause trouble in the 9 prefectures. Whoosh! Roars of anger and excitement could be heard from the 9 prefectures. Countless living beings' auras merged into one, vast and mighty. A moment later, the 9 prefectures were decorated with lanterns and colored banners. Many people began to migrate back to their main cities and hometowns. The roads were filled with celebration. No matter if they were strong or weak, they were celebrating together. The joyous atmosphere pervaded the air. The 9 prefectures had turned into 9 prefectures. They were all citizens of the same divine nation. There was no longer any racial division. Yi Qinghan and everyone looked at each other with a smile. They held their weapons and stepped into the void ocean together. These years, the void ocean had never been peaceful. Swanpatian must be in this ocean. As long as they could find him, with Yi Qinghan's current strength, he would definitely not lose. With the cooperation of so many experts, he might not be able to escape this time. Dozens of brothers stepped into the joyous rhythm of heaven and earth, covering 1,000 miles with each step. Swanpatian had just refined the origin energy of the 4 heavenly beasts. His cultivation had improved and his strength had increased. Although he was still far from being an eternal sovereign, he had become the strongest person in the realm lord. At this moment, Swanpatian controlled yin and yang to deduce the heavenly fate. However, he couldn't deduce Yi Qinghan's true realm. It was like a cloud of fog, which was quite shocking. Where has he been all these years? He has actually become so strong. Swanpatian was very unwilling. He had devoured the origin energy of the 4 heavenly beasts, but he still couldn't win for sure. This made him a little angry. Fortunately, he didn't know that Yi Qinghan's primordial spirit had left his body and went to hell. Otherwise, he would definitely regret it. This was the best time to kill Yi Qinghan. As long as he could break Yan Ao's formation, he would definitely be able to kill Yi Qinghan. Even the aftermath of the battle could destroy his body. Swish! The 7 copper coins stirred the yin and yang and the 10,000 laws, transforming the 9 continents into the sky. Although they couldn't see Yi Qinghan clearly, they could still see the trajectory of Yan Ao, Gu Qingyu, and the others. The blurry person in the lead was definitely Yi Qinghan. Jian Bugui brought 2 sector lords and met up with Yi Qinghan, heading straight for Void Ocean. With so many experts gathered, 8 world lords, Yi Qinghan, and so many other monsters, the corners of Swanpatian's lips twitched. With a muffled snort, he said, "Huang, this old man truly regrets letting you reincarnate. I never would have thought that the number of experts gathered in this world would be even greater than the Great Desolate Era. One less dragon of resentment, but so many more helpers." Swanpatian exhaled a mouthful of turbid air and coldly said, "You want to take revenge, but you will never have the chance. This seat will have the chance to defeat all of you one by one." After saying this, Swanpatian's figure gradually dissipated, fleeing without a fight. At this level, if one side wanted to escape, no matter how strong Yi Qinghan was, he didn't have much confidence in capturing Swanpatian. At this moment, the void ocean had huge waves. Without the protection of the 4 great heavenly beasts, the flood soared into the sky. The waves were 10,000 zhang tall, smashing the islands and submerging the land and sea. The sea turned into a sea of blood. Corpses and bones were swept up by the waves. Even the sea beasts couldn't withstand the beating of the waves. Yi Qinghan stepped on the void ocean. His aura was like a rainbow, suppressing the void ocean until it was silent. The waves gradually sank. With the power of a thought, he suppressed the void ocean and dispersed the waves with a wave of his hand. Yan Ao and the others were also helping to suppress the void ocean. If the void ocean became violent again, the entire 9 continents might be submerged. With dozens of experts working together, no matter how big the void ocean was, it would still be suppressed. The void ocean slowly calmed down, but Swanpatian didn't appear. It was as if he had disappeared. He isn't in the void ocean? Yan Ao frowned, feeling that something was wrong. Yi Qinghan scanned the surroundings. His soul rushed into the clouds, patrolling the void ocean and the entire 9 continents. However, he didn't find Swanpatian's figure. Purposely avoiding me? Yi Qinghan sneered. Compared to hell and eternal world, the 9 provinces continent and the ocean of nothingness were too small. They were just a small region. Not to mention, this place was not like hell where one's divine sense could cover the entire place without any hindrance. Boundless heaven and earth, borrow yin and yang. Trace the great Tao, reveal the origin. Yi Qinghan formed hand seals with his palms. His soul merged with the heaven and earth. The light of reincarnation shot up to the 9 heavens, wanting to tear Swan Potion's figure out. However, Swan Potion was currently carefully hiding from Yi Qinghan. His whereabouts wouldn't be exposed. Yi Qinghan's cultivation was monstrous, but he couldn't reverse the universe. Just like Swan Potion, he could only deduce the faintly discernible figure. In addition, there was no one beside him, making it even harder to track him down. Yi Qinghan's gaze was like lightning, piercing through the void. A heavenly eye appeared in the sky, sweeping through the myriad daos. The origin of all things couldn't escape the gaze of this eye. Boom, 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 boom. The heaven and earth rumbled. The sound of nature was grand and majestic, making one's blood boil. Swan Potion, come out and fight. This world is only so big, you can't escape. Yi Qinghan's voice was vast and mighty, rushing towards the 10 continents. His voice resounded through the wilderness, destroying the void, causing the entire 9 continents to rumble. However, Swan Potion didn't want to come out and fight. At least, he didn't want to take the risk now. Therefore, there was no reply. Yen Ao, Gu Qingyu, Huang Peng, Jiang Jingtian, Lin Wuqian, Yen Yunbei, Li Feng, Mo Li, Yinyang Xianzai. Which one of them wasn't a dragon or phoenix among men? They held divine weapons in their hands and stood behind Yi Qinghan, silently waiting. As long as the enemy appeared, they wouldn't hesitate to rush forward. Who in the world wouldn't be envious of such a lineup, especially Swan Potion? He hated that he didn't have so many people supporting him, but he still didn't understand. Brothers should treat each other with their hearts. There was no need for too many words, but when needed, they would fight with their lives on the line. Yi Qinghan lectured him once, but he couldn't find Swan Potion. He had no choice but to give up. Isn't this lunatic always boasting about being number 1 in the world? What nonsense. Originally, Swan Potion calculated with his fingers and knew that this bastard was running away. He's looking for an opportunity to leave through the world tower. The divine bird said disdainfully. Yi Qinghan's eyebrows twitched. The divine bird was right. The only way to enter the eternal world was through the world tower. The world tower didn't allow people from the land of sinners to enter the eternal world. However, Swan Potion wasn't from the land of sinners. He was from the emissaries branch. He might have a chance to leave. I can't let him leave the eternal world. Otherwise, where am I supposed to find him in the vast eternal world? Yi Qinghan's killing intent soared. His hatred for Swan Potion was higher than the sky and deeper than the sea. He had been toyed with by Swan Potion for several lifetimes. The Great Wasteland domain was destroyed because of Swan Potion. The Primal Chaos domain was also destroyed because of Swan Potion. Let's go! Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Chapter 1644. Peace reigned in the 9 states. All living beings celebrated. Every home was decorated with lanterns and streamers. The main cities regained their vitality. Statues rose from the ground and stood guard outside the cities. The main cities forbade war. This unwritten rule was enforced in all the major cities. No one was allowed to use force in the main cities. Yi Qinghan brought everyone back to the 9 states. He found that the major cities were reconstructing themselves and regaining their vitality. The joyful atmosphere made him feel exceptionally carefree. Many overlords were also full of smiles. Half of the credit for the prosperity and stability of the 9 states came from them. The people believed in them, and the glory came from their hearts. It was better to be feared than to be revered. In the Shenwu city, Yi Qinghan brought everyone back. He gathered the ministers and generals to discuss how to kill Swan Potion. Swan Potion wanted to hide, and ordinary temptations couldn't tempt him. The selection competition for the Yinyang Saint Physique was still ongoing. After hundreds of years, there was still no news of the Yinyang Saint Physique. However, Swan Potion was now in a losing position. He didn't even dare to come out to fight. The Yinyang Saint Physique was dispensable, but this competition could select some young talents to inject new blood into the inner sect of the insane faction. The order of the 9 states gradually stabilized. When the heavenly Tao flourished, so did the world. It wasn't the heavenly Tao that was heartless, but the ruler. If there was a good ruler, the heavenly Tao would naturally be merciful. Everything was progressing slowly. However, Swanpodin was a thorn in everyone's heart. If they couldn't remove him, no one would feel comfortable. All living beings feared him, and Yi Qinghan was even more unwilling. However, before they could eliminate Swanpodin, an accident ignited a raging fire in the 9 states. Everyone was in a state of panic. 1 year later, with the invasion of hell, the souls of hundreds of guardian envoys mysteriously appeared in the 9 realms sky. The 14th District's Skycleanse Emperor personally led a team and appeared near the realm tower. Their appearance attracted Yi Qinghan's attention. The heavens have decreed that the land of sinners, Yi Qinghan, has disrupted the order of reincarnation. His crime is punishable by death. As long as you hand over Yi Qinghan, I will spare your lives. An angry voice rang out, rushing into the depths of the 9 provinces. These were all souls. With the help of the Order of Samsara in Hell and the personal permission of the Master of Samsara City of the 16th District, the Order of the 9 Worlds was changed so that it could accommodate the souls of so many powerhouses. Their appearance immediately alarmed Yi Qinghan. After all, there were 400 to 500 guardians. That was equivalent to 400 to 500 sector lords. Even if it was just their souls, it was already frightening enough. A bunch of souls want to deal with me? A cold light flashed in Yi Qinghan's eyes as his killing intent flared. He said coldly, "Do you think I won't dare to kill you just because you're a guardian of hell? Soul bodies. My brothers can devour your soul powers and become sector lords. Once we enter Eternal World, we will be able to advance to the sector lord stage." The wind and clouds in the sky suddenly changed. Dark clouds rolled as if it was hell. The gloomy air was heavy. Yen Ao and the others quickly entered the main hall. Don't worry. These guardians do have the battle strength of a sector lord in hell. However, once they enter the mortal world, they will be restricted. Their soul attacks will only be 1/10 of a sector lord's. Their true battle strength is only at the peak of a fake sector lord. With over 400 guardians, we have the confidence to win. Yi Qinghan said indifferently. Yen Ao, lead the army and approach the World Tower. Try to control the battlefield near the World Tower. Yi Qinghan was very calm. Over 400 guardians were enough to take his life in hell. However, in the 9 provinces, the true master was him and not the guardians. The others announced to the outside that all fake sector lords are to gather outside the divine martial city. With a command, Yi Qinghan quickly left the palace. In order to protect the 9 provinces that finally obtained peace, he didn't use many words to mobilize them. He only said one sentence, "God Master is in trouble." All fake sector lords who are willing to help are to gather outside the city. After this sentence was sent out, a moment later, dozens of fake world overlords appeared outside the divine martial city. These were all sect leaders of powerful sects or family heads. At this moment, they were all standing firmly behind Yi Qinghan. We are willing to serve God Master. Those who offend the 9 provinces will be killed no matter how far away they are. An old man who had received Kuang Sek's favor immediately bowed and said, "We are willing to serve God Master." It wasn't easy for the 9 provinces to obtain peace. How can we allow them to destroy it? Even if we die in battle today, we won't hesitate. Everyone roared and their aura soared to the 9 heavens. Yi Qinghan was very satisfied. These people had finally woken up. They were no longer in a state of disunity. It was enough to gather the strength of a small world and kill a small portion of Hell's forces. Very good. If you help me, I will definitely not disappoint you. You won't die. Help Yen Ao surround those guardians and leave the rest to me. Yi Qinghan said solemnly. Yes. Everyone replied in unison. They weren't afraid at all. Under Yen Ao's lead, the army quickly moved out and headed straight for the boundary tower. The divine martial region was the central region of the 9 provinces. It was 3 provinces away from the boundary tower. However, the order had been changed. Yen Ao was leading an elite army of only 3 million people. The weakest among them was a giant god at the Great Perfection stage. This was the strongest force in the 9 provinces. 99% of the experts were here. There were close to 100,000 supreme gods. Their speed was very fast. They followed closely behind Yi Qinghan and the others as they charged towards the boundary tower. At this moment, the heavenly cleansing emperor was waiting. However, the guardians were unable to hold back their excitement when they saw the colorful world. They all proposed to charge into the hinterland. Bastard, if we can charge into the hinterland, do you think I would need you to teach me? Although this is the land of sinners, it is still within the cycle of reincarnation. This world may be small, but it is complete. If we charge into the hinterland, how many people's cycle of reincarnation will be changed? Do you want to alarm the eternal sovereign? The heavenly cleansing emperor was filled with murderous intent. However, he still held back his temper. In fact, he did not dare to offend the eternal sovereign. Although the eternal sovereign was imprisoned in the Tower of Eternity, he could kill the Samsara City Lord with just a thought. After being reprimanded, no one dared to say anything else. They could only wait patiently. The heavenly cleansing emperor was filled with murderous intent. He could not wait to crush Yi Qinghan. This time, if he did not succeed in killing Yi Qinghan, he might not even have the chance to return to hell. This was because the 16th District Samsara City Lord's rank was obviously higher than his. Kill or be killed. Choose one. This was the 16th District Samsara City Lord's last sentence to the heavenly cleansing emperor. At this moment, the heavenly cleansing emperor's expression was ferocious. He clenched his iron fists and stared coldly into the distance. He could clearly sense that Yi Qinghan was leading the army over. After a few months, the army set out. They had already entered the 6 beast realms of the past. Both sides could sense each other's aura. The army was duty-bound to turn back. They were divided into 3 large groups and 300 small groups. Like a divine sword, they pierced through the 9 states and headed straight for the boundary tower. Yi Qinghan took the lead and charged forward with his army. Chapter 1645. At the border of the Beast Godland. Yen Ao led the troops and began to change the defensive formation even before they reached the boundary tower. Yi Qinghan dispersed the creatures of the Beast Godland and let them enter the hinterland of the 9 states. The Beast Godland would definitely become the final battlefield. The heavenly cleansing emperor's might was monstrous. His combat strength in hell was definitely comparable to Yi Qinghan's at his peak. Although he was only a soul at this moment, he was still extremely powerful. He looked down at Yi Qinghan's army with murderous intent. Damn, how dare a bunch of ants go against hell? The Sky Cleanse Emperor sneered and waved his hand to signal to everyone, spread out. Once the battle begins, leave none of the creatures in this area alive. Leave 10 of your strongest to surround and kill this traitor, Yi Qinghan. Sky Cleanse Emperor gave the order. More than 400 guardian envoys were powerful enough to fight against millions of elite soldiers. After all, a sector lord was a sector lord. Even if he was in soul form, he was still restricted. The army encircled them from all directions, leaving behind a vast expanse of mountains and rivers as the battlefield. Yi Qinghan stepped into the battlefield through a gap. His eyes were like torches as he glanced at Sky Cleanse Emperor and the others. Behind Yi Qinghan were Lin Wutian, Yen Yunbei, Jiang Jingtian, Huang Peng, Gu Qingyu, Li Feng and the other experts of the insane sect, as well as Yin Yang Xuanzi, Jian Bugui and her 2 followers. Tat tat tat. Yi Qinghan's steps were firm and his momentum was strong. He suppressed the power of Sky Cleanse Emperor and the other guardian envoys. Hell and the small worlds don't interfere with each other. How dare you enforcers come to the human world to enforce the law? How dare you? Yi Qinghan scolded Sky Cleanse Emperor. Sky Cleanse Emperor glared at Yi Qinghan and roared, Yi Qinghan, you are the one who has the guts. You entered hell, killed my beloved son, betrayed my daughter, played with the city lords of the 15th and 16th districts, tampered with the order of the pool of riches and honor, provoked hell, and didn't respect the eternal sovereign. Any of these crimes is enough to kill your entire family. If you surrender today, I won't make it difficult for the others. Otherwise, this sinner's land will be filled with blood. Yi Qinghan shook his head and explained calmly, First of all, I didn't kill your son. I left him a way out. But your sky suppressor is useless. 3,000 soldiers couldn't even protect a mischievous son. As for your daughter, I wanted to take her back to the human world and take responsibility for her, but she didn't cherish her. As for playing with the city lords of the 15th and 16th districts, I don't dare to take responsibility for such a groundless crime. I was able to escape from those 2 districts with my ability, not by playing with them. You have a glib tongue. No matter how eloquent you are, you can't escape from the crime of tampering with the order of the pool of riches and honor and provoking the eternal sovereign. The order of the pool of riches and honor was established by the eternal sovereign himself. No one can provoke it. You let 2 strange souls into the pool of riches and honor. The eternal sovereign hasn't said anything about this, but one thing is clear. He wants to take you into the pool of riches and honor to meet the eternal sovereign. Are you going to surrender or wait until this sinner's land is filled with blood? Skyclen's emperor questioned coldly. Yi Qinghan smiled faintly and calculated with his fingers. He said in a low voice, "The eternal sovereign can't give such an order. Otherwise, you would have already killed your way into the hinterland. It's you who are provoking the order of the eternal sovereign. If I kill you today, the eternal sovereign of hell won't care." Whoosh! The army's morale soared and they erupted at the same time. The eternal formation merged with the land of the 9 states. As long as heaven and earth didn't perish, the formation wouldn't fall. Whoosh! Whoosh! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and took out Berserk. The great wasteland's steel soared into the sky, wanting to suppress the 9 heavens. Whoosh! Yen Yunbei's figure flashed and disappeared, hiding in the void. Lin Wutin unsheathed his sword and stood to the left of Yi Qinghan. He was like a sword, moving the heart and soul. Even the souls of sector lords were frightened. This is the land of the 9 prefectures, Yi Qinghan's territory. You guardians of hell can't behave atrociously here. I have my own reasons for using the pool of riches and honor, but I have no intention of provoking the order of hell. If you are willing to retreat, I won't make things difficult for you. Otherwise, don't even think about leaving today. Yi Qinghan warned coldly. A small world with an incomplete heaven and a sinner's land. You think too highly of yourself. Boom. Skyclen's emperor took the lead and led 10 experts to charge at Yi Qinghan. All of them were armed with divine weapons. Skyclen's emperor even held the mirror of reincarnation. It could not only cause souls to reincarnate, it could also cause all experts to enter reincarnation. They wouldn't even have a chance to escape. Shwa! The mirror of reincarnation shot out a ray of reincarnation light. A reincarnation whirlpool charged at Yi Qinghan with the order of heaven and earth. Boundless heaven and earth, yin and yang law enforcement. 1 controls heaven and earth, 2 controls yin and yang, 3 controls myriad. Boom boom boom. The yin-yang record appeared out of nowhere. Countless rune weapons tore apart the order of reincarnation and blocked the ray of reincarnation. So you really are from the yin-yang Shen race. As an emissary, knowing the law and breaking it, you can't escape. Kill him. The Skyclen's emperor roared, and the 10 powerful guardian envoys beside him rushed over. Boom! Yi Qinghan's blade was like a storm. His aura soared into the heavens and shook the souls of sector lords so much that they were about to shatter. The rest of you stay where you are. Reinforce the formation at any time. Yen Ao waved the dragon god flag. Lin Wutian, Jian Bugue, and the rest didn't participate in the battle. They just watched coldly as Yi Qinghan fought with the guardians. Yi Qinghan's frenzied blade was majestic and powerful. Every strike forced the dozen or so guardian envoys to retreat. Their faces were pale and their souls were in a mess, almost disappearing into thin air. The Skyclen's king's expression changed drastically. He suddenly realized that he had underestimated Yi Qinghan and the combat strength of the experts in this small world. The reincarnation realm experts were blocked by the yin-yang record and could not play any role. Looking at the other guardians, there were more than 400 of them. They could not even shake the formation of millions of troops. They could not break through at all, let alone kill them. Looking at the dozens of experts standing behind Yi Qinghan, they didn't interfere at all. If they did, This group of guardian envoys would definitely be defeated. However, what SkyClan's emperor didn't know was that this group of people didn't attack not because they didn't want to, but because they couldn't. This group of people's target wasn't the guardians but Song Padian. Yen Yunbei was hiding in the dark. There weren't any spatial fluctuations. At this moment, even Yi Qinghan didn't know where he was. Boom, boom, boom. Yi Qinghan was like a tiger in a flock of sheep. He used the Great Wastelands Monument, Mad Blade, Yin Yang Record, and the Stone Sword to deal with hundreds of guardians and SkyClan's emperor. He wasn't at a disadvantage at all. His domineering aura soared into the sky like a war god. I gave you face but you don't want it. Leave your life behind. Yi Qinghan's aura surged. His body suddenly grew like a giant. The Great Wastelands Monument descended from the sky and combined with the Yin Yang Record to suppress all the guardians. Chapter 1646. The Great Wastelands Tablet combined with the Yin Yang Record fell from the sky, crushing the mountains and rivers. Boom. Yen Ao's cooperation was flawless. He mobilized the army to compress the space and reduce Yi Qinghan's unnecessary consumption. He suppressed the souls of the guardians to a small area. Boom. Bang bang bang. The earth bobbed up and down, turning into fine powder. The Yin Yang Record was like the falling sky, suppressing the guardians led by the heavenly cleansing king. Whoosh! The Yin Yang Record's divine light soared into the sky. When the pages closed, even the heavenly cleansing king was suppressed inside. Hundreds of Hell Guardians had come with great momentum, but they had been defeated so quickly. It was truly shocking. Although Swan Padian wasn't here, he could clearly deduce the situation here. He couldn't help but be shocked. What kind of fortune did this Huang obtain? His soul can mobilize 4 great world weapons at the same time. Even the Yin Yang Record can display such power. Swan Potion's expression turned serious. He was losing confidence in himself. He was actually a bit timid after seeing Yi Qinghan. This was something that had never happened before. A sense of humiliation welled up in his heart. An ant that I can slaughter has actually reached this step. You are my prey. Don't even think about overturning the heavens. Huang, no matter how many reincarnations you have, my 5-finger mountain will be your world. Swan Padian roared coldly. Swan Padian muttered to himself. At this moment, his Tao heart suffered a blow and became even crazier. His eyes were like lightning as he looked towards the world tower. His desire to escape from the 9 continents grew stronger. If he couldn't win, he could only run. Even Swan Padian himself didn't expect the result of not being able to escape. Yi Qinghan was too ruthless. Yi Qinghan suppressed a large number of guardians and wasn't in a hurry to leave. Instead, he entered the world tower alone. However, the tower's reaction was even more intense than before. Please leave this place immediately. Otherwise, I will carry out the will of heaven. A vigorous soul pressure soared into the sky, enough to crush the nerves of a realm lord. It wrapped Yi Qinghan tightly. Yi Qinghan stood on the first floor and looked at the tower's reaction. He couldn't help but raise his head and laugh. What? Is the supreme tower guarding the sinner's land afraid of me? Scared? The realm pagoda retorted. Although it was really afraid of Yi Qinghan, it didn't want to admit it. Instead, it sneered. This divine pagoda was created by the supreme eternal sovereign to seal off the land of sinners and guard the exit of hell. As long as I don't fall, hell will be safe forever. Do you think I will be scared by a little realm lord? Yi Qinghan slowly walked up and calmly said, Since you're not afraid, why are you afraid of me reaching the top? Boom. Boom. Whoosh! The boundary pagoda shook, and the heavenly might surged. Lightning bolts of heavenly punishment rushed down from the top of the pagoda, becoming extremely majestic. Boom! The ground near the realm tower shook, and the cosmos wall glowed brightly as runes entered the realm tower. Boom! Boom! Ka-ka-ka! Lightning struck Yi Qinghan's body. After breaking through his defenses, it quickly recovered. The realm pagoda wasn't punishing Yi Qinghan, but helping him temper his body. Yi Qinghan's expression didn't change. He allowed his black hair to dance like snakes tearing through space. His steps became firmer, and his deep eyes flashed with a touch of cold arrogance. he said majestically, "the heavens have decreed that 9 by 9 return to 1. This order should be changed. In the land of the 9 states, my will is the will of the heavens. Your realm pagoda is in the 9 states, so you have to follow my will. Otherwise, I will tear you apart." "How dare you!" The realm pagoda roared, and a soul attack blasted from the top of the pagoda, forming a god Buddha. Its golden palm carried the will of heaven and earth and pressed down on Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan twisted his toes, and strength came out from his waist, gathered in his fist, and slammed into the palm of the giant palm. Boom, boom, whoosh, bang. The realm pagoda shook even more. Yi Qinghan took a few steps back, and his feet almost shattered the stairs of the realm pagoda. His black hair flew backward, and his right arm shone with golden light. Dragon blood boiled, and the clothes on his arm were shattered, revealing his steel-like skin. Boom! The golden palm that rushed from the top of the pagoda was shattered. Qi rushed in all directions, crashed into the realm pagoda, and disappeared. Yi Qinghan was even faster, and stepped onto the 5th floor in the blink of an eye. The divine armor formed by the yin-yang mysterious record flapped, and his fighting spirit crushed the will of the heavens. "It's just a pagoda. Do you really think of yourself as a god?" Yi Qinghan asked coldly, with a dignified expression. "I carry the will of the heavens, to guard the land of sinners." The realm pagoda rebuked, and the soul waves became more intense. What is the will of the heavens? What is sinner? The nature of this continent has changed. Even if our ancestors were sinners, we are no longer sinners. The heavens are not you, and can't distinguish right from wrong. What a joke. Today, I will tear you apart. Yi Qinghan's voice was like a bell, and it rumbled in the realm pagoda. Sinners will always be sinners. Sin can extend into one's bloodline. If one sinners, generations will be sinners. The realm pagoda retorted proudly. Bullshit. Yi Qinghan's angry eyes flashed with flames. He waved his hand, and the flames melted into a divine robe to protect his body. He stepped onto the stairs, and his burly body crushed all will. Buzz! Suddenly, a sound burst out from the realm pagoda. It was tragic and mournful, like the sound of Sanskrit. The realm pagoda's Buddha light soared into the sky, and the Sanskrit sound tore at the soul. Evil and negative emotions rushed out from the depths of the soul sea, as if the world was evil beyond redemption. The heavens have decreed that all living things are sinners. Only I, the heavenly Buddha, can purify all living things. Evil creature, you actually want to destroy the great Buddha divine pagoda that I guard in the land of sinners. Today, I will purify you completely. A soul wave carried the will of the heavens, and it suppressed the souls of the people, causing them to involuntarily lose their will. They seemed to be very remorseful, and they cried out in pain. "I am sinful. Heavenly Buddha, please purify me." Some people in the army lost their minds, and soon they cried out in pain. The Buddha light soared into the sky, and its range became wider and wider, as if it could really purify the world. Yen Ao and the others had strong souls, and their minds were filled with evil thoughts. Their faces were distorted. Only Lin Wutian and Yin Yang Xuanzi were not affected. Lin Wutian was a sharp sword, and his Tao heart was very firm. Yin Yang Xuanzi was yin and yang, so the Buddha light could not affect them for the time being. Lin Wutian pulled out his sword, and his sword roared. His sword aura tore apart the Buddha light, and he roared. This is the realm pagoda's Sanskrit sound that bewitches people's hearts. Everyone, guard your state of mind, turn your strength to yin and yang, and combine your souls to resist the Sanskrit sound. The people who had lost their minds were awakened by Lin Wutian's sword, and they looked at the realm pagoda in shock. They did not expect it to be able to destroy the land of the 9 states when it exploded. Yin Yang Xuanzi looked back and saw the Buddha light, accompanied by the life-taking Sanskrit sound, rushing into the depths of the 9 states. The mysteries of yin and yang spontaneously rushed out of his body to protect his heart. A yin-yang meditation mantra surged out of his sea of consciousness, and he said in a crisp voice, "Everyone, follow my chant. Seal the life-taking Sanskrit sound in the beast god prefecture. We cannot let it enter the hinterland to harm the common people. Yin and Yang, the extremity of the heavens. 10,000 laws change, all things change, the heavens change, only my heart is calm. Chapter 1647. The Yin-Yang meditation mantra reverberated in the air. Millions of people chanted the mantra with Yin-Yang Xuanzi and fought against the deadly Sanskrit. Inside the boundary tower, Yi Qinghan was shrouded in golden light. The Sanskrit wanted to crush his soul. Buzz! Yi Qinghan's soul buzzed and his eyes blurred. However, he gritted his teeth and guarded his mind. The record of Yin-Yang guarded his sea of consciousness, and the great wasteland monument protected his golden body. He gradually woke up and his steps became clear. I didn't expect you to be a demon tower. How dare you bewitch people? You deserve to be destroyed. Yi Qinghan's voice was hoarse as he said angrily. What a joke! I have the fate of Buddha personally bestowed by the heavenly Buddha. I have listened to the Sanskrit for countless years in the heavenly Buddha temple. It can cleanse the world of filth and evil. Sinners will naturally be affected. The soul waves rolled over. Boom, boom. Yi Qinghan walked step by step to the top of the tower. He sensed the origin of the pagoda and searched for its fatal weakness. When Yi Qinghan entered the 8th level, the realm pagoda finally panicked. It almost used all of its power to suppress Yi Qinghan, but no matter how much the world changed and how dense the lightning of the heavenly punishment was, it was unable to harm his origin. Don't. The boundary tower shot out Buddhist light in all directions. Yi Qinghan's flaming robe was burning, incinerating all attacks. Even the lightning of the heavenly punishment was burned to ashes. The boundary tower resisted Yi Qinghan but could not stop him from moving forward. After half an hour, Yi Qinghan stepped onto the 9th level. The heavens have decreed, 9 by 9 return to 1. A divine light tried to move Yi Qinghan away from the 9th level. However, he did not move at all. He allowed the demon tower to do whatever it wanted. If his heart remained still, the world would move, but his body would not move. The boundary tower was terrified. It did not expect that in just a few hundred years, it could no longer control Yi Qinghan's fate. Yi Qinghan's face was solemn. He stared at the boundary spirit grass at the top of the boundary tower and smiled. He reached out and grabbed the boundary spirit grass in his hand. Screech! Buzzed at a blood-curdling scream came from the realm spirit grass as it blasted towards Yi Qinghan's sea of consciousness like a thunderbolt. Boom! The yin-yang profound record blocked this attack outside the sea of consciousness, shaking Yi Qinghan to the point of bleeding from his 7 orifices, but it did not harm his soul. So the boundary spirit grass is the weapon spirit of the demon tower. Yi Qinghan said coldly as he gripped the boundary spirit grass. Yi Qinghan, do you want to alarm an eternal? How dare you harm this divine pagoda? The blessed Buddha temple will not let you off. A furious soul spirit rushed out from the boundary spirit grass and scolded. A fox assuming the majesty of a tiger. The high and mighty eternal ones won't care about a demon tower. They just casually tossed you here. You really think too highly of yourself, Yi Qinghan replied quietly. The realm soulgrass panicked and struggled desperately, trying to make Yi Qinghan stop. However, it knew better than anyone that if it was the Tower of Eternity, an eternal sovereign would definitely care about it. However, this realm tower was used to guard the land of sinners. Let alone an eternal sovereign, even a major force in eternal world wouldn't care about this minor world. I want to see if the so-called blessed Buddha temple will attack me after I devour your weapon spirit and tear apart your body. Yi Qinghan said coldly and swallowed the boundary spirit grass in one gulp. He sat cross-legged on the top of the tower and wanted to refine the boundary spirit grass to control the land of the 9 prefectures. As long as he completely controlled the land of the 9 prefectures, there would be no place for him to hide. Buzzed at the boundary tower shot out a final ray of light and then calmed down. The deadly Sanskrit disappeared. The world was dead silent. Swoosh! The boundary tower soared into the sky and a ray of holy light shot out. It was like the light of ascension. As long as an expert entered the light of ascension, they would be able to fly into the sky and enter the eternal world. Whoosh! A ray of light reacted faster than everyone else. It was Swan Padian, who was hiding in the dark. The moment he entered the holy light, his soul seemed to have been refined. His body shone with divine light and bathed in the holy light. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. However, just as everyone was enraged, countless lightning bolts shot out from the sky and struck Swan Potion's head. Boom boom boom. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. Lightning flashed and lightning flashed. However, only one wave of lightning pierced through the ground. It did not pierce Swanpadian. After that, the holy light became denser and wrapped around Swanpadian. Then, it sucked him away and he disappeared without a trace. Yen Ao and the others were dumbfounded. The change was too fast. They did not even have time to stop it. That should be the place of tribulation in the land of the 9 prefectures. To enter the eternal world, that lightning should be the test. However, he is from the Xian Yinyang race. There was only one wave of lightning. Yinyang Xianzai said. Kacha. Yen Ao was furious. Yi Qinghan and Swanpadian had enmity. How could he not have enmity? How many of his brothers had died because of Swan Potion schemes? Damn it. He actually left the land of the 9 prefectures. Yen Ao and Huang Peng glanced at each other. Their eyes were filled with anger. Everyone felt that it was a pity. However, Heavenly Sovereign and Supreme Overlord glanced at each other. The two of them rushed into the holy light together. The Realm Overlord's speed flashed and they arrived at the place of tribulation. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Roared out lightning filled the sky. The white lightning was extremely sharp. It directly tore apart space and time. The boundary artifact Divine Sword was shaken by the lightning. After entering the holy light, the two of them regretted it. Because they were not from the eternal world, they had to endure wave after wave of lightning tribulation. The lightning was extremely sharp. Like their boundary artifact, it tore apart their defense. Even their boundary artifact was about to be shattered. The two of them screamed miserably. The lightning directly pierced through their flesh and dyed the sky red. Everyone was dumbfounded. Swan Potion's tribulation was so simple. However, as natives, Heavenly Sovereign and Supreme Overlord actually had to endure such a terrifying lightning tribulation. The destructive power of the lightning tribulation was much stronger than before. The two of them were tortured to the point of hovering between life and death. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. The two of them cooperated with each other. When they were beaten to their last breaths, everyone thought that they would fail. However, a ray of holy light quickly teleported the two of them away from the land of the 9 prefectures. Jian Bugui looked at the two of them escaping and heaved a sigh of relief. He felt that it was time for this hatred to dissipate. However, Huang Peng and Yen Ao did not feel the same way. Watching the three of them escape, their killing intent grew even stronger. The three of them don't even think about leaving. Yen Ao swore. Originally, he wanted to use the 2 boundary overlords to kill Swanpadian. However, Swanpadian had escaped. The two of them had no intention of cooperating. Gu Qingyu and the rest of the insane sect looked at the huge boundary tower rising into the sky. They were very worried about Yi Qinghan's safety in the boundary tower. However, they did not know that Yi Qinghan had already devoured the boundary spirit grass. He had yet to fully control it. Yi Qinghan was rapidly refining the boundary spirit grass. As long as he could control the boundary spirit grass, the entire land of the 9 prefectures would be his domain. Nothing could escape his control. Yi Qinghan's soul was getting stronger and stronger. His divine sense instantly dispersed into a huge continent. This was a huge world in the 9 world heavens. Hua! The beast's divine continent was covered. The divine martial continent was covered. The land of the 9 prefectures, including the void ocean and various dangerous lands, had become Yi Qinghan's domain. At this moment, it was not an exaggeration to say that he was the creator of the land of the 9 prefectures. Chapter 1648. Above the 9 prefectures, the heavens and earth rumbled incessantly. 10,000 rays of divine light shot out in all directions. The world pagoda fell into silence and was no longer dignified. It was in the palm of Yi Qinghan's hand and could be changed at will. It could be considered a great divine item that surpassed any world weapon, but he did not hesitate to tear it apart. Although the boundary pagoda was not as big as the Tower of Eternity, it was still an existence that surpassed a boundary weapon. Yi Qinghan did not hesitate to dismantle it. Pieces of divine materials appeared before everyone. Although the divine bird had been clamoring to dismantle the boundary pagoda, it felt pity when it saw Yi Qinghan dismantling it. It said unhappily, "You wastrel. If you don't like it, you can give it to me. You actually dismantled it. This is the accumulation of countless years of profound mysteries. It's very precious. It's not mine. It's not convenient to use." Yi Qinghan dismantled the last piece of the pagoda and replied indifferently. The divine bird's eyes lit up when it heard that. It said in a wretched and flattering manner, "My great master, seeing how loyal I am and how I have accompanied you for countless years, please give me some of the materials to refine a boundary weapon and an offensive boundary weapon. I don't have the ability to become a boundary master level divine bird, but with these two items, I can still toy with a boundary master." Yi Qinghan shrugged and replied indifferently, "It depends on the situation. If there are any remaining materials, I will consider your request." I knew Master wouldn't forget about me. The divine bird was wretched to the extreme. Its wretchedness would never be surpassed by anyone. Yi Qinghan looked at the army in a sorry state. He scanned with his divine sense and found that Swan Padian had actually escaped. He could not help but shake his head. Divine Lord Jingtian and Honorable Supreme have also escaped. Yan Ao reminded in a deep voice. "No matter. The monk can run, but the temple can't. They will be executed sooner or later." Yi Qinghan's might soared into the sky. At this moment, he was the mandate of heaven. With a wave of his hand, he could control the myriad Tao and laws. The land of the 9 prefectures was his domain. Within this domain, he was the master. Killing people was only a matter of thought. Jian Bugui saw that the hatred between the two sides could not be resolved. He sighed and shook his head. Then he cupped his fists and said, "Since the 9 states have been settled, I will take my leave. It's a small world, let's talk again in the future." After saying that, Jian Bugui stepped into the holy light. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled. The divine punishment was like a divine weapon that tore through her defense. However, it couldn't break through her defense of swordsmanship. She unsheathed her sword and even the lightning was destroyed. Yi Qinghan looked at Jian Bugui's back as he left. His fingertips twitched slightly, but he did not stop him. Everyone had their own aspirations. If the 9 states could not accommodate her, then he would let her fly freely. It would also make space for the Kuang sect to have more sector lords. Even if Padian left, Divine Lord Jingtian, Honorable Supreme, and Jian Bugui would have 4 more spots. The Kuang sect would naturally have 4 more spots. Yi Qinghan glanced at the people of the Kuang sect. He realized that there were far more than 4 people who could break through to the realm of the sector lord. Huang Peng, Yan Ao, Jiang Jingtian, Gu Qingyu, Li Feng, Mo Li, and a large number of experts had reached the peak. In addition, there were also the sovereigns of the 9 states. However, if they wanted to break through, there would definitely be a sequence. There were only 4 spots. Huang Peng, Yan Ao, Brother Jingtian, Brother Gu, the 4 of you can break through first. Yi Qinghan took a deep breath and looked at the people. Seeing that they were regretful, he said, "Everyone will have a chance. Don't worry. When I forge the divine cauldron to suppress the 9 states' fate and seize the opportunity of the eternal world and the void ocean, there will be at least 10 more spots." Only then did the people reveal a carefree smile. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and suppressed the souls of the 4 powerful guardians before throwing them to Huang Peng, Yan Ao, Jiang Jingtian, and Gu Qingyu. He said in a serious tone, "I have already refined their souls. Just swallow them and fuse with them. Maintain your original heart. Don't let these soul energies without consciousness control you." The 4 nodded excitedly. Who wouldn't yearn to break through to the realm of the sector lord? Even if they entered the eternal world, they would be the backbone of the forces. Yi Qinghan didn't pay attention to their advancement. Instead, he brought all the materials of the World Tower into the Immortal Peach Paradise and went straight to the volcano. Yi Qinghan jumped down and waved his hand to control the strongest experts in the world. He raised flames and burned the divine materials. The materials were indeed supreme treasures. Even with Yi Qinghan's full mental power to refine the divine materials, it took him a few years to melt one piece. The materials of the world tower slowly melted, one piece, two pieces. Yi Qinghan's mental power consumption was extremely fast. However, every time it was exhausted, he would swallow a large amount of rare treasures and the guardian's souls. The remnant of the world's spirit grass in his body hadn't been refined and was being refined at this moment. After a few hundred years, Yi Qinghan's soul had reached the peak of the Sector Lord realm. In terms of realm, he was the same as Swan Padian. However, the strength of his soul was at least 10 times stronger. His combat power was probably more than 10 times stronger. At this time, he had refined all the materials of the world tower. Even the liquid metal was still filled with runes and Buddhist light. It was extremely majestic. Hua! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and refined the liquid metal into divine cauldrons. Heavenly dragon, phoenix, qilin, black tortoise, white tiger, whitefin. There were various shapes and each of the divine cauldrons represented different meanings. They symbolized peace, auspiciousness, harvest, love, good health, wisdom. 9 divine cauldrons rose into the sky, emitting a dense divine aura and heavenly might. They carried the will of the heavens and revolved around Yi Qinghan. Runes shot out in all directions. Whoosh.roar. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and forced 9 drops of blood into the divine cauldrons. The divine cauldron's spiritual energy increased by 30%. Divine light soared into the sky. 9 cauldrons suppressed the 9 states. May the 9 states be blessed with peace and good health. Yi Qinghan's voice was majestic. Every sentence represented a will. Boom boom boom. The 9 divine cauldrons fell into the flames and soared into the sky. They bathed in the water source and quickly recovered to normal temperature. The 9 divine cauldrons' auras soared into the sky. Whoosh.hua. Yi Qinghan broke open the blessed land and heavenly grotto heaven with the 9 divine pagodas. They each suppressed the 9 regions and formed a heaven-seizing formation. They seized the eternal holy light and the power of the void ocean. They suppressed the void ocean until it was calm and no longer a flood. The 9 states were completely merged. The 9 states were no longer blocked by the boundary river and there would be no distinction between races. Boom boom boom. The 9 divine cauldrons landed in the center of the various states. The entire 9 states was bathed in holy light. Yi Qinghan smiled as he looked at his masterpiece. He was full of joy. The divine bird looked at the 9 divine cauldrons and was drooling. It asked flatteringly, "Master, are there any divine materials left? Make me a defensive divine armor and an offensive boundary artifact." Yi Qinghan suddenly remembered the divine bird. He slapped his head and said innocently, "I'm really sorry. There are no materials left. After all, these 9 divine cauldrons are related to the lives of the people. You won't destroy the 9 states' aura for your own selfish desires, right?" The divine bird glared at him and said through gritted teeth, "This divine bird thinks of the people and is merciful. How can I do such a thing?" Chapter 1649. The divine bird sounded righteous, but in fact, it was so angry that it wanted to piss on Yi Qinghan's head. Yi Qinghan understood and comforted her. "There's still time. We'll definitely find more divine materials. In the future, when we find such divine materials, the first thing I'll do is help you forge a divine robe and offensive divine weapon. You can also decide the weapon's shape and characteristics." "That's more like it." The divine bird's anger disappeared and it forgot its unhappiness. The land of the 9 prefectures was being rebuilt in full swing. Order was being established and the emperor was being crowned again. However, the hell was in an uproar. The governor of Samsara city of the 14th district led hundreds of guardians to the land of sinners. Not only did they fail, but they also lost their lives. Even their soul energy was devoured by Yi Qinghan and turned into his own power. The governors of Samsara city of the 15th and 16th districts were furious. The The governor of Samsara city of the 15th district led thousands of guardians and tens of thousands of inspectors to enter the land of the 9 prefectures. However, they failed as soon as they reached the bridge of helplessness. The land of the 9 prefectures was suppressed by the 9 divine cauldrons. The hell could no longer interfere with the affairs of the land of the 9 prefectures. People who died of old age or died of old age could still enter the hell. However, the inspectors and guardians of the hell could not take the initiative to arrest them. This piece of news was quickly spread to the rear. In the main palace of the Samsara city of the 16th district. Report. A spy rushed into the main palace of the city. The governor of Samsara city of the 16th district was very dignified. His eyes were even more powerful than Yi Qinghan's. His every move and every word carried a monstrous will that could not be disobeyed. Speak. Your Excellency, we have a report from the front line. The land of sinners is guarded by something. Even the governor of Samsara city of the 15th district could not enter the land of sinners, let alone bring an army in. Your Excellency, please tell us. The spy knelt on the ground respectfully and did not dare to raise his head. The governor of Samsara city gave off a cold light. He raised the corner of his mouth and sneered. A puny human world dares to challenge my supreme hell's reincarnation order? And now, you're using a supreme treasure to seal the sinner's land? Ridiculous. If hell wants to capture someone, who dares to stop it? The governor of Samsara city scolded angrily. He smashed the sandalwood table with his palm and said coldly, "See, Commandery, from today on, you will be in charge of the 16th district. I will go to the land of sinners personally and arrest them." Swish! As soon as the Samsara city governor finished speaking, his figure slowly dissipated. However, his real body had already left the main city. The master of Samsara city of the 16th district was surnamed Wang, and his name was Haotian. He had been an expert for many years, and now he was the master of Samsara city of the 16th district. In terms of cultivation, there were less than 10 people in the whole hell who could defeat him. Of course, there was one eternal warrior of hell, and the master of Samsara city of the 17th district was also stronger than him. The rest of the eternal warriors of hell lived in seclusion in the 18th district. They could even go in and out of hell freely. They were all eternal warriors of hell who had made their names through fighting and were taken in as subordinates. Any one of them could defeat a small region. Wang Haoyan held the mirror of samsara in his hand, which could make a small world enter the reincarnation cycle. His fighting strength was monstrous. At this moment he was galloping on the official road, covering millions of miles in a flash. 3 months later, he entered the Bridge of Helplessness of the 1st District. The hurricane on the Bridge of Helplessness blew his white robe, and his killing intent soared to the sky. However, he stepped onto the other side of the yellow spring. His hair was white, and his eyes were like lightning. He looked around and found the master of Samsara city of the 15th district, Shuifeng. Shuifeng also noticed Wang Haoyan's arrival. He hurried to greet him and explained helplessly, "Lord Haoyan, I don't know why the land of sinners blocked the reincarnation order. We can't even enter the land of sinners with our souls, let alone bring our flesh and blood there. What should we do now, Lord Haoyan?" Wang Haoyan's mouth twitched coldly. He was full of killing intent. The hell wind was raging, and even the inspector couldn't withstand it. A small world's expert dares to provoke me? Today, I will personally go and take him down. Wang Haoyan waved his hand and the moon appeared. The reddish world was even more terrifying, and the reincarnation order could be seen clearly. The mirror of samsara in Wang Haoyan's hand soared into the sky, trying to tear apart the shackles and break through the seal of the 9 divine cauldrons. At the same time, the 9 divine cauldrons in the various divine lands of the 9 continents soared into the sky at the same time, forming an inescapable net. They formed many small formations, but they were connected to each other. They desperately pressed down, but the destructive force from the order made the 9 divine cauldrons roar. Hummed at the roars were deafening. The scene was extremely terrifying, and the aura soared into the sky. Yi Qinghan was suddenly awakened from his seclusion. He looked blankly at the divine cauldrons in the sky. They were using the power of heaven and earth to suppress the 9 continents, but an inexplicable force rushed into the sky, and the formation could be destroyed at any time. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Hum.8 figures rushed out from the main cities of the 9 continents, heading straight for the 8 divine cauldrons. Jiang Jingtian, Gu Qingyu, Lin Wuqian, Huang Peng, Yan Ao, Yan Yunbei, Yin Xian Race, Li Feng. The 8 realm lords were now the sovereigns of the 8 continents. Each of them oversaw a continent, and at this moment, they were doing their best to suppress the divine cauldrons, trying to maintain the formation. Yi Qinghan soared into the sky and rushed to the divine cauldron of the divine martial continent. He sealed the sky with his palm and pressed the dragon cauldron into the ground. Boundless heaven and earth, borrow the power of Yin Yang. Seal. The Yin Yang Xian record soared into the sky, and the floating light scattered to every corner of the 9 continents, assisting the sovereigns in suppressing the 9 continents. Boom boom boom. The first divine cauldron was pressed back into the ground, followed by the second, the third. After a while, the 9 cauldrons all returned to their positions, and the 9 continents regained its peace. Boom. Bang. Near the bridge of helplessness, Wang Haoyin crashed into the ground, and the mirror of samsara fell from the sky. Thud thud thud. Wang Haoyin kept retreating, and his face was pale. His eyes were bloodshot, and he was extremely unwilling. It was impossible and unrealistic for him to fight against the 9 sovereigns of the 9 continents by himself. Even if his original body came to the 9 continents, he might not even be able to defeat Yi Qinghan, not to mention crossing over to enforce the law. Supreme Venerable, should we join forces? The Reincarnation City Lord of the 15th District was shocked. He did not expect that even Wang Haoyin with the mirror of samsara could not open the passage. Could it be that this sinner's land would become a forbidden area in hell? Wang Haoyin's face was cold. He shook his head and replied in a hoarse voice, "No need. Even with you, we can't open the passage. Yi Qinghan's strength is beyond my imagination." He dismantled the divine tower in the 9 realms and built 9 divine cauldrons, which sealed the 9 lands and formed the great array of sealing and luck seizing. It could have sealed the 9 realms, and now with the 9 experts joining forces, it seems that I have to ask the Supreme Venerable of the 17th District to help. The Reincarnation City Lord of the 15th District was shocked. Someone who could make Wang Haoyin a Supreme Venerable was definitely a terrifying existence. If they did not alarm the Eternal Sovereigns, they might have to ask the Supreme Venerable of the 18th District for help. Chapter 1650. Hell was making a big fuss. It seemed like they wouldn't stop until they achieved their goal. Yi Qinghan felt immense pressure. There were many experts in hell. After all, so many people had died in countless worlds. So many experts had gathered. Even experts at the pinnacle of sector lords could be found everywhere. It was Yi Qinghan's turn to panic. The divine bird cursed. Why are these bastards so serious? We're already back. Do they still want to go back and fight? They really can't afford to lose. The divine bird cursed. Yi Qinghan didn't expect hell to be serious this time. It must be the 16th District's Samsara City Master who could almost destroy the 9 divine cauldrons' defensive array. If they didn't succeed this time, would they ask for help from the 17th or 18th Districts? Yi Qinghan took a few deep breaths. His divine sense swept across the 9 divine cauldrons. It was true that these cauldrons could protect the 9 prefectures. It could also stop the 16th District's Samsara City Masters. However, the 17th and 16th District's Samsara City Masters might not be able to stop them. They thought that there were no more external enemies. They didn't expect to attract an even stronger enemy. All troops at the Lord God level and above, please guard the cauldrons. Don't leave as you wish. Yi Qinghan made use of the heavenly Tao. His voice was like thunder. In the land of the 9 prefectures, the army was mobilized. Countless experts took the initiative to approach the 9 divine cauldrons. They sat beside the cauldrons and cultivated. Yi Qinghan sat beside the cauldrons outside the divine martial city. He frowned. He racked his brains but couldn't find a way to completely seal the 9 prefectures. Although the 9 divine cauldrons were powerful, they couldn't stop true experts. Unless there were 9 more of these cauldrons, they might be able to completely seal off hell. Boom! The Great Wasteland Tablet was sealed in the center of the 9 prefectures. Together with the cauldrons, it was the eye of the array. As long as it wasn't broken, there was still a chance. The stone sword was also activated. Following closely behind, crazed gravity inserted it around the cauldrons. Whoosh! The yin-yang profound record landed on the divine cauldron and divine light shot out in all directions. Yi Qinghan leaped into the void and looked down at the land of the 9 continents. It was vast and boundless, and the sky was blue as if it had been washed. However, in the deepest part of the 9 continents, dark clouds covered the sky, and there was always a trace of destructive aura. This indicated that the 9 continents were still dangerous and could be destroyed at any time. After thinking for a while, Yi Qinghan still felt uneasy. He looked at the tall mountains and waved his hand to form a seal. Limitless heaven and earth, borrow yin and yang. Move the mountains and change the universe, transform into an immortal dragon, suppress the heavens and suppress the earth, suppress the 9 continents. Whoosh! A mountain range rose from the ground and rushed towards the dragon cauldron at the center of the 9 continents. The dragon's vein was like a divine dragon that rushed into the clouds. The dragon's body stretched out endlessly, surrounding the 9 continents and suppressing the 9 divine cauldrons. A heaven-reaching long river ran through the east and west, converging into the void ocean. The long river flowed around the dragon vein. As long as the dragon vein was immortal, the long river would not stop flowing. Boom! Roared at the dragon vein raised its head and seemed to be roaring. Its aura was like a rainbow and its domineering aura soared into the sky. Looking down from the sky, the dragon vein and the long river were like 2 dragons that coiled around the 9 continents. No one knew where they went and where they ended. This was the first time such a miracle had happened since the creation of the world. The divine cauldrons were pressed into the dragon vein. Zhong Kuang and the stone sword guarded the 2 sides of the dragon cauldrons. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. Yi Qinghan summoned the mysterious record of yin-yang and it shone with a divine radiance. The army guarded the dragon vein. Tens of millions of soldiers were scattered across the 9 continents. At this moment, they were full of confidence. However, Yi Qinghan's eyes were twitching. At this moment, his face was pale and he was exhausted. Such a miracle had consumed a large amount of his mental energy. Yi Qinghan exhaled a mouthful of turbid air. He stepped onto the head of the dragon vein and looked down at all beings. In the past, no one was the god of creation. But now, in the 9 continents, Yi Qinghan was the only god. He controlled the heavenly Tao and he could summon the wind and rain with a wave of his hand, reversing yin and yang. Just when everyone thought that the 9 continents could finally be peaceful, the dragon vein trembled as if there was an earthquake. The entire 9 continents was shaking. Huge waves surged into the sky and the long river surged. They attacked the dragon vein and the overlord's faces turned pale. Yi Qinghan sat on the dragon's head. He put his palms together and used his lifetime strength to guard the dragon vein. The emperor of the 9 continents also sat cross-legged on the dragon vein. He inserted his divine weapon into the dragon vein to guard the 9 continents and fight to the death with hell. In hell, the Samsara city master of the 17th district and Wang Haotian of the 16th district held the mirror of Samsara and attacked the order. They wanted to kill their way into the human world. However, they could not break through the dragon vein and send the 9 divine cauldrons flying. Boom, boom, boom. The frequency of the tremors became weaker and weaker until it finally calmed down. Yi Qinghan finally heaved a sigh of relief. He knew that hell would not come again in a short period of time. 9 emperors, I will give you 10,000 years to establish your own sects and guard the 9 divine cauldrons. Warn the world to guard the divine cauldrons forever and never let the divine cauldrons leave their positions. Yi Qinghan's voice was vast and majestic, resounding through the sky. Yen Ao established the War God sect in the Central Azure province and passed down his life's work. Gu Qingyu established the solitary sword Dao and set up the solitary sword Dao mountain in the Snow God province. Lin Wutian established the sword sect in the Beast God province and guarded the entrance of the eternal world. Yen Yun established the Supreme World Piercing Organization in the Northern Supreme Province. Huang Peng established the Great Peng Mountain in the Ultimate Martial Province and taught thousands of beasts. Li Feng established the True Martial Temple in the True Martial Province. Yinyang Xianzhe established the Yinyang family in the Great Desolate Province and carried forward the last inheritance of the Yinyang Xian race. Jiang Jingtian established the Chaotic Mountain in the Primal Chaos Province and the Sky-Piercing Spear Array to guard the Primal Chaos Cauldron. Yi Qinghan personally established the Insane Sect's headquarters in the Divine Martial Province to guard the Dragon Cauldron and the Dragon Vein. The various divine sects and Taoist sects were developing like a raging fire. The experts were not stingy and even competed with each other. They all wanted to build their own sect into the strongest and largest force. In terms of combat strength, there was not much difference between them, so they had to rely on their disciples to fight for face. Lin Wutian was the only junior. He kept a low profile and rarely let his disciples fight for hegemony. However, his sword sect was not to be underestimated. Yi Qinghan saw the rise of sects one after another, so he made the 9 great sects the Dao Mountain the Holy Land, forming the 9 Holy Lands. The Holy Lands controlled the 9 great provinces, but they could not interfere with the conflicts between the major sects and clans in the provinces and allowed them to develop. The 9 great realm lords built their own worlds into blessed lands and grotto heavens, all of which became an extension of the 9 great provinces, making the 9 great provinces even more majestic and magnificent. The blessed lands and grotto heavens guarded the Dragon Vein and developed their own spiritual qi, making the Dragon Vein stronger and stronger. After 10,000 years of development, it finally developed into an unshakable divine dragon. Heaven and earth were immortal, and the Dragon Vein was immortal. In 10,000 years, Hell launched several attacks, but they did not break the formation. Yi Qinghan's change of the reincarnation pool of riches and honor finally alarmed the eternal sovereign of Hell. Order Wang Haotian to capture him and bring him back to the 18th district to see me. The eternal sovereign of Hell only issued this order and then fell into a deep sleep. Wang Haotian's spirit was about to collapse. In the past 10,000 years, in order to break through the Dragon Vein and rush into the land of the 9 great provinces, he spent endless energy and seemed to have aged many years. Now the Eternal Sovereign said that if he still could not capture Yi Qinghan, his cultivation would be destroyed and he might not even be able to keep his life. At this moment, Wang Haotian was not the only one who was under pressure. The Lord of the 17th District, Cloud Sky High Venerable, was also under pressure. Cloud Sky High Venerable was Wang Haotian's superior. If the subordinate did not enforce the law, the superior would also be guilty. Now the Eternal Sovereign said that if Wang Haotian was punished, he would not be able to escape. At this moment, the 17th District, Reincarnation City, was no different from the human world. It was very prosperous, but at this moment, the main city was gloomy and gloomy, which made the heroes tremble with fear. Wang Haotian personally came to the 17th District, bowed and begged, "Please save this lowly one, Your Highness. This subordinate is truly powerless. Now that the land of sinners has been completely sealed off, I really have no way to enter the 9 worlds, let alone capture Yi Qinghan. Please, Your Highness, help me." Chapter 1651. 10,000 years had passed, but the situation of the 9 prefectures had changed rapidly. Yi Qinghan had set up the Great Heaven-Seizing Formation and the support of the 9 Great Realm Lords' powerful worlds. The 9 prefectures had become increasingly powerful, and the Great Formation was effective. The number of realm lords that could be accommodated had far exceeded 8. The fortune of the Void Ocean had been snatched away and the fortune of Eternal World had also been snatched away. After 10,000 years, a total of 13 cultivators had appeared in the 9 provinces. Adding the previous 9 cultivators into the mix, there was a total of 21 experts. The 21 sector lords were guarding the Dragon Veins and the 9 divine cauldrons. Now, they didn't have to worry about sneak attacks from hell. The situation had changed. Looking at Wang Haotian's pleading face, the 17th District exalted Venerable Cloud Sky felt annoyed. Is a small world as scary as you say? As the city lord of Hell's 16th District, you can't even catch a sector lord? What's the use of keeping you? Cloud Sky exalted being looked like he was in his 40s, but he had the aura of a king. Every word and action of his exuded the aura of a king. His voice was hoarse, and Wang Haotian lowered his head, not daring to speak. There were many experts in the hall, including two who were at the same level as Wang Haotian. They were both top-notch experts under Cloud Sky Exalted. At this moment, they all lowered their heads and waited for Exalted Celestial Cloud Sky to speak. Vast Heaven, if you work together with the two guardians to break the reincarnation order, do you think you can break the 9 cauldrons heaven-seizing formation? Cloud Sky High Holiness asked coldly. Wang Haotian shook his head. Your subordinate is useless. In these 10,000 years, they have become stronger and stronger, and the number of sector lords has also increased. Not to mention the 3 of us working together, even with you. Wang Haotian wanted to say something but stopped. He didn't dare to tell the truth because he knew that even Yun Tian High Holiness couldn't enter the 9 prefectures. Cloud Sky High Holiness's face darkened. He knew that Wang Haotian didn't dare to tell him the truth. If Wang Haotian told him the truth, he wouldn't be able to do anything even if he went there personally. My lord, you're friends with the 10 supreme ghosts of the 18th district. I wonder if you can ask them to help. Wang Haotian asked respectfully. Cloud Sky High Holiness shook his head and said, That's impossible. Although I'm friends with the 10 supreme ghostly gods, I can't let them leave the 18th district without the permission of the Eternal Sovereign. Wang Haotian's face paled. Was he just going to wait for death? By the time the Eternal One awoke, if he didn't see Yi Qinghan's soul, his life would be gone. Cloud Sky High Holiness thought for a long time, but he still couldn't find a better solution. He could only scold angrily, You useless piece of trash. How could you let someone get close to the riches and honor reincarnation pool and let 2 souls in? How dare you? When the Lord Eternal One awakens, he will punish you for neglecting your duties. This seat will also be implicated. My lord, save me. The Yi Qinghan's strength is indeed terrifying. He can even tear down the boundary tower. Even if I were to personally guard it, I might not be able to beat him. Wang Haotian wanted to cry, but no tears came out. There was no way he could explain himself. Cloud Sky High Holiness waved his hand and reprimanded, Don't explain it to me. This is a terrible thing. If we can't bring Yi Qinghan to justice, who wouldn't covet the riches and honor reincarnation pool in the future? That's why the Eternal One personally issued the order to capture Yi Qinghan. Kill one to warn the others. Obviously, Yi Qinghan had touched the Eternal One's cake and was now on the must-kill list of hell. Phew. Cloud Sky High Holiness leaned against the dragon throne and exhaled. He closed his eyes and thought about how to bypass the 9 divine cauldrons heaven-seizing array and kill Yi Qinghan directly. The hall was silent for a long time. It was so quiet that it made one's hair stand on end. Cloud Sky High Holiness suddenly opened his eyes and said, It seems that this seat will have to make a trip to the eternal world. Wang Haotian was overjoyed when he heard that. If he asked the forces in the eternal world to help him, he would definitely succeed. Cloud Sky High Holiness was the reincarnation city lord of the 17th district of hell, so the major forces in the eternal world would have to give him some face. Thank you, High Holiness. This subordinate will be loyal to you even if I have to sacrifice my life. Wang Haotian bowed repeatedly. Cloud Sky High Holiness waved his hand and left. He was stronger than Wang Haotian, but he wasn't so strong that he couldn't fight back. Therefore, it took him more than 2 months to reach the Bridge of Helplessness from the 17th district. Strong winds blew across the Bridge of Helplessness, and a large number of souls were sent to the other side of the Yellow Springs. They were torn apart by the strong winds and turned into energy that drifted into hell. The sky was dusky, and countless reincarnation laws corresponded to the regions of each world. In the eternal world, the blessed Buddha temple occupied a large piece of land. Its territory was connected to hundreds of small entrances, which were similar to the 9 prefectures. However, the area it occupied in the eternal world was 100 times bigger than the hundreds of small entrances. The mountains and rivers were boundless, and it was incomparably vast. The lofty mountains and precipitous ridges looked exceptionally grand and majestic. This was the eternal world, which was unimaginably vast. It was divided by the eternal ones, and the entire world was under the control of the eternal overlords. In the blessed Buddha temple, there was a Buddha Lord, whose cultivation base was at the eternal realm. However, this kind of existence rarely appeared in the secular world. Only his disciples and grand-disciples preached. This Buddhist temple was incomparably powerful, and it had millions of Buddhas under its command. In the blessed Buddha temple's territory, all living beings had to worship the Buddha Lord. There were 18 temples under the blessed Buddha temple, and each temple was a colossus that controlled countless living beings. Every year, the living beings would have to offer countless treasures to the Buddhist temples, and the Buddhist temples would offer them to the blessed Buddha temple. Layer by layer, they exploited and controlled the blessed Buddha temple. In the eternal world, the sky was high, and the sea was deep. The sky was blue, and the might of the heavens was vast. It seemed that except for the eternal ones and birds, no other experts could fly. Humans and beasts could only walk. On a majestic mountain, there were temples all around, surrounding a massive palace temple. This was one of the 18 Buddhist temples. All living beings in the blessed Buddha temple's territory had an indescribable reverence for the Wang. Using the order of reincarnation, Cloud Sky High Venerable appeared in front of the temple and cupped his fists. Cloud Sky of the 17th district is here to visit Wanjun Buddha. Please inform him. His voice rumbled and resounded for thousands of miles, surging into the temple. Wanjun Buddha was the abbot of this temple, and he controlled millions of living beings. At this moment, he didn't pretend to be arrogant. Instead, he quietly appeared outside the temple and came before Cloud Sky High Venerable. Amitabha, Taoist friend, your presence brings light to my humble temple. Please forgive me for not coming out to greet you. Wanjun Buddha was wearing golden gauze, and his Buddhist light was dense. He gave people a feeling that they didn't dare to blaspheme him. Even looking at him directly was a sin. Cloud Sky High Venerable smiled bitterly and shook his head. I'm here to ask for your help. Is it convenient for you? Wanjun Buddha was stunned. He didn't expect that the Samsara City Lord of Hell, who controlled the reincarnation of the 10,000 worlds, would take the initiative to ask for his help. This was a great favor, and the return in the future would be far beyond his imagination. He immediately bowed and replied, Taoist friend, we've known each other for so many years. Feel free to tell me if you have any difficulties. Cloud Sky High Venerable couldn't interfere with the life and death of the mortal world. Only when someone died and entered hell would he be the supreme being. However, Yi Qinghan was still alive, and his true body had appeared. Cloud Sky High Venerable couldn't do anything about it. He could only ask for help from the experts of the eternal world. In that case, I won't stand on ceremony. I'd like to ask Buddha to help me kill a sinner of the 9 worlds heaven and capture his soul for me. I'll reward you handsomely. Chapter 1652. Wanjun Buddha didn't expect Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable to ask him to kill an expert from a small region. Why was there a need to ask for help? Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable smiled bitterly and could only tell the truth. Wanjun Buddha felt a chill down his spine. Perhaps only Yi Qinghan dared to change the order of the riches and honor reincarnation pool. This person's strength is not to be underestimated. Buddha, don't underestimate him. Moreover, his influence in the land of sinners is not to be underestimated. I will leave this matter to you, Buddha. Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable reminded in a deep voice. Wanjun Buddha had a difficult expression and said helplessly, the ascension point of the land of sinners isn't within the territory of my blessed Buddha temple. It's in the land of chaos. That place is extremely dangerous. Tao friend, you should know that apart from those vicious bandits, not many orthodox forces are willing to go there. Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable was a smart person. He knew Wanjun Buddha wouldn't help him for free. He bowed and said, "Buddha, if you have any difficulties, just tell me. As long as I can do it, I will not hesitate." Sai, this little monk shouldn't have asked you for help at this time. However, this is a crucial moment. Wanjun Buddha had a helpless expression and pretended to be embarrassed. "Buddha, we have known each other for so many years. If you have any problems, just tell me. As long as I can do it, I will not decline." Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable's eyes twitched. He knew Wanjun Buddha wasn't a kind person. However, he had no choice but to let him take advantage of him. "My inferior disciple is cultivating the Reincarnation Sutra. However, his aptitude is too low. It has been 30,000 years and he has only reached the mid-stage of the Realm Lord realm. He has only reached the 7th level of the Reincarnation Sutra. Now, he urgently needs the Reincarnation Dao fruit. However, you should know that the Reincarnation Dao fruit grows in the depths of hell. It is priceless. It blossoms once every 100,000 years and bears fruit after 100,000 years. Moreover, it grows on the cliffs of the Reincarnation Cliff." Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable's mouth twitched. His immortal chi was a little messy. He didn't expect this so-called Buddha to have such a heart. "Since Buddha's beloved disciple needs it so much, I'll help you obtain the Reincarnation Dao fruit even if I have to risk my life. When the time comes, give me Yi Qinghan's soul in exchange." "I won't go back on my word," Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable said in a deep voice. "Then this little monk will thank you on behalf of my disciple. Give me 10 years. You can go to the temple and rest first." Although Wanjun Buddha had a benevolent look on his face, his smile sent chills down one's spine. Exalted Cloud Sky knew very well that those who could become the overlord of eternal world were definitely not easy to deal with. None of them would have feelings for each other. They would only rely on benefits and exploitation. Without this layer of relationship, they would be even more vicious than enemies. Blessed Buddha Temple claimed that all things were equal, but even in this small temple, there were distinctions between high and low. How could there be equality? Their ability to accumulate wealth was more ruthless than any other sect, but they were also very good at brainwashing, making their believers willingly contribute everything they had. Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable followed Wanjun Buddha into the main temple. The main hall was dazzling with gold and jade, looking extremely luxurious. There was no mention of Buddha saving the world. All the monks were wearing gold and silver, and they were wearing brocade robes. They had a strict hierarchy. When they saw Wanjun Buddha, they bowed and made way for him. Wanjun Buddha had a smile on his face. After making arrangements for Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable, he gathered the 18 monks and went straight to the lawless land. The lawless land was called the Land of Despair. It was surrounded by high mountains and steep ridges. A large number of wanted criminals and powerful bandits were hiding here. This area was as big as the entire land of the 9 provinces. It was rich in resources and minerals, but it was also very dangerous. Almost no righteous people would appear here. The bearded men were in groups of 3 to 5. They were rarely alone. In this place, even powerful bandits would die without a doubt if they were surrounded by people. People ate people and no one would give face to each other. Wanjun Buddha appeared in the Land of Despair with 18 powerful monks. They strode forward and went straight to the depths of the Land of Despair. In the depths of the Land of Despair, Jingtian Divine Lord and Supreme Overlord were trembling in fear. They had been here for 10,000 years, and they couldn't even fly. They had to travel on foot, and it was extremely dangerous. They didn't dare to make any noise, and they could be killed at any time. However, they were still realm lords, and they could still struggle at death's door. This Buddha is the abbot of Blessed Buddha Temple's Dark Spirit Temple, Wanjun Buddha. I'm now recruiting 10 of the strongest realm lords. As long as you help me complete a mission, I'll remove the warrant for your arrest. Wanjun Buddha put his palms together, and Buddha light soared into the sky. His voice was majestic, and it spread out in all directions of the Land of Despair. Hua! Roar! His voice broke the silence of the Land of Despair. Rumbling sounds came from inside the Land of Despair, and the roars were deafening. Swish! Shio shio shio. A moment later, dozens of figures rushed out from the distance, and more appeared. They were all famous wanted criminals who had committed heinous crimes. They were all experts, but they could only stay in the land of despair. They didn't dare to enter the flourishing world. They coldly stared at Wanjun Buddha, holding divine weapons or carrying them on their backs. Their auras were extraordinary. Wanjun Buddha, are you serious? A powerful middle-aged expert asked in a muffled voice. This person's surname was Wang, and he looked very ordinary. However, in the land of despair, there was no one who didn't know him. He was Wang Shahu, and together with Wang Yuhu, Wang Tsonghu, and Qing Tianhu, they were known as the Four Tigers of the Land of Despair. They had committed the heinous crime of massacring a city in Eternal World, offending a major power, and were wanted by Eternal World. Even now, they had yet to be executed. Everyone in the Land of Despair feared them, and very few dared to challenge their prestige. It's you guys? Wanjun Buddha frowned. The power these four had offended wasn't inferior to Blessed Buddha Temple. It would be very difficult to remove the warrant for their arrest. If you don't have the ability, then don't talk nonsense. Since I dared to massacre a city in Eternal Palace, I dare to exterminate you all. Wang Shahu coldly reprimanded. Wanjun Buddha's expression was indifferent, and he wasn't angry. This kind of bandit would start a fight without a word. Speaking rudely was already a light punishment. Although I can't convert you, as long as you are willing to help me complete a task, I can give you a satisfactory price, Wanjun Buddha said seriously. The Four Tigers of the Land of Despair sneered in disdain. They were wanted criminals. What use did they have for money? What they lacked were resources and divine medicines. I want divine medicines of Sector Lord level, world-breaking pills, or Buddha heart pills. 3 pills per person. This is the price. If you can afford it, then cooperate, Wang Shahu said seriously. World-breaking pills and Buddha heart pills were priceless. Not only did they require supreme materials, but they also required a professional alchemist. Moreover, the success rate was very low. Buddha heart pills could only be found in Blessed Buddha Temple. Even 1 pill was a supreme treasure, let alone 12 at once. Wanjun Buddha thought for a moment. With the help of these 4 experts, there was no need to find others. 12 world-breaking pills were worth it. Okay. Wanjun Buddha nodded and said, my target is a Sector Lord in the 9 worlds. I want his soul. You guys just have to cooperate with us. Chapter 1653. It wasn't easy to enter a small world in the Land of Despair. One had to obtain the permission of the Heavenly Tao of the 9 prefectures or be stronger than the Heavenly Tao of the 9 prefectures. Only by being stronger than Yi Qinghan would one be able to force their way into the Land of Despair. The Buddha led the 18 monks and the 4 tigers of the Land of Despair into the depths of the Land of Despair. At this moment, in the land of the 9 prefectures' divine martial palace, Yi Qinghan looked at the elite guard. She was in the midst of breaking through to the world overlord realm. It wasn't that her talent wasn't good. It was just that she had been suppressed by Yi Qinghan several times. He wanted her to become a peak-level emperor in the same realm. Once she broke through to the world overlord realm, she would be able to fight against the experts of the older generation. The elite guard didn't disappoint. Today, she once again broke through to the world overlord realm and successfully stepped into that realm. Her world was expanding and the Heavenly Tao of the 9 prefectures was becoming more strict. As long as time allowed, she would become in existence like Yi Qinghan sooner or later. Boom. Buzz. The order of the 9 prefectures suddenly trembled. The Heavenly Tao rumbled and dark clouds covered the sky. Yi Qinghan stepped out of the divine martial palace and looked up at the sky. With a thought, he connected with the Heavenly Tao and felt the Heavenly Tao of the 9 prefectures. He discovered that the people who wanted to invade the Land of Despair weren't from hell but from the eternal world behind the holy light. I didn't want to have conflicts with the people of the eternal world. Unfortunately, someone actually came to provoke me. Yi Qinghan frowned and muttered to himself. His figure flashed and he teleported to the border of the Beast Emperor continent. Lin Wutian's sword sect was here and he was also alarmed. He appeared beside Yi Qinghan and looked at the distorted holy light as if a passage was about to appear. Second Master, are we going to stay in the land of the 9 prefectures and not go to the eternal world? Lin Wutian looked up at Yi Qinghan and asked respectfully. Yi Qinghan looked at the distorted holy light and shook his head. We will only suffer heavy losses if we enter the eternal world rashly. Even if we go there, it's not the time. But they want to come in. Should we let them in and kill them one by one? Asked Lin Wutian. Yi Qinghan still shook his head and smiled. These people have no enmity with us, so there's no need to become enemies. If we kill them, we don't know if an eternal will appear, so we just need to block this place. With that said, Yi Qinghan controlled the order with his will, causing the holy light to distort and shatter the passage. Back in Eternal World, Buddha Wanjun and the 4 tigers of desperation had attempted to break apart the barrier a few times only to find that it was broken apart. Seeing that, they could not stop themselves from feeling surprised. To think that there would be such an expert in such a small region. I'm getting more and more interested, Wang Shahu said with a sneer. However, Wanjun Buddha had a heavy heart. He stared at the order of the other side and reminded hoarsely, no, this small region has grown a lot. A sector lord is actually willing to give up his own world to merge with this small region, allowing it to grow into a medium region. We might not be able to enter. I don't care about that. Since I'm here with you, you can't give me less than the divine pills you promised me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite, Wang Shahu said coldly. Shua. Wang Yuhu, Wang Tsanghu, and Qing Tianhu stepped forward at the same time. Their eyes flashed with an ominous glint as they glared at Wanjun Buddha. Wanjun Buddha frowned as he looked at the 4 villains. Unwilling to provoke them, he suggested, I'll use the Tao scripture of reincarnation to send you and the 18 monks into the 9 worlds. Are you confident you can kill Yi Qinghan? Wang Shahu's lips curled up as he said disdainfully, you don't have to doubt my combat power. Under the eternal realm, there are less than 100 sector lords who can defeat me. This Yi Qinghan you speak of is merely the master of a small world. You're taking him too seriously. Send me in and I'll help you deal with your target and capture his soul. I don't want you to say that I didn't do my job after taking your resources. Wanjun Buddha smiled. He put his palms together and rotated them. After releasing them slightly, the Tao of reincarnation appeared in the center of his palms. What? The Tao of reincarnation broke through the shackles and entered the order of the 9 continents. After forcefully tearing it apart, it kept expanding. Boom boom boom. A hollow passage appeared in the sky, directly avoiding the order of the 9 continents. Bang bang bang. Wanjun Buddha's Buddhist light soared into the sky, but he was forcefully pushed aside by the order of the 9 continents. He kept retreating, his face pale. Hurry up and go in. I'll pick you up here in a month. Wanjun Buddha roared anxiously. Swish swish swish. Swish swish swish. The 18 monks and the 4 tigers of the land of despair rushed into the reincarnation passage at the same time, avoiding the order of the 9 continents and entering the land of the 9 continents. Swish. Holy light soared into the sky, and Qi soared into the clouds. 22 figures descended, and their auras were extraordinary. The 18 monks were enveloped in Buddhist light, and the 4 bandits were extremely fierce. Yi Qinghan and Lin Wutian stood at the border of the Beast God Prefecture, stepping on the tail of the dragon vein. They looked at the 20 people in surprise and frowned. Fellow Taoists, why have you come to the land of the 9 continents? Amitabha. This humble monk of the blessed Buddha temple is here on orders to capture a criminal. How should I address you? A monk put his palms together, and the majestic Buddhist light was convincing. Yi Qinghan looked at Lin Wutian and signaled him not to speak. Then he smiled and said, So you're a disciple of the blessed Buddha temple. Sorry for the disrespect. Cut the crap. Which one of you is Yi Qinghan? Get the hell out here. Wang Shahu roared, and his voice reverberated through the clouds. He could actually forcefully harmonize with the heavenly Tao of the 9 continents, and his voice could be heard in every corner of the 9 continents. The divine bird's feathers trembled, and it rushed out of Yi Qinghan's bloodline and said excitedly, "You're looking for Yi Qinghan? This thief has been abusing his power in the land of the 9 continents. Don't worry, this divine bird will bring you to him." Wang Shi looked at the divine bird and was delighted. He directly ignored Yi Qinghan and gestured with his hand. "What an obedient feathered beast! Why don't you give up the darkness and join me?" The divine bird flew over in a flattering manner and replied with a wretched expression, "Supreme Venerable One is indeed someone from the great world. Why don't you get rid of Yi Qinghan and take over the mountain? This divine bird will definitely be loyal to you and assist you." The corners of Lin Wutian's mouth twitched. He was speechless. What was this divine bird trying to do? "This is my master. However, he is my predecessor. Since you're here, he is naturally not worthy of being my master. However, I can still make use of him." The divine bird pointed at Yi Qinghan and said to Wang Shi in a wretched manner, "Supreme Venerable, you can call him Little Huang. Although he is Yi Qinghan's subordinate, he was forced to do so. Why don't we make use of him to lure Yi Qinghan here and let you kill him?" Wang Shi nodded in satisfaction. He then turned to Yi Qinghan and said, "Kid, follow me and I guarantee that no one in Eternal World will dare to bully you. Now that you've lured Yi Qinghan here, I'll give you credit for this." Yi Qinghan clenched his fists and suppressed his emotions. The divine bird's plan was very simple. It did not want to make a big fuss. It just wanted to poison the monks and the 4 bandits to death. This was also good. At least it would reduce the number of casualties. He bowed and said, "Supreme Venerables, please follow me into the sect to rest. I will inform Yi Qinghan to come and meet you." After saying that, Yi Qinghan led them into the sword sect. The monks were very cautious and did not touch a single drop of wine. However, the 4 tigers of despair could not hold back. They had been wanted for too long and could not even touch a woman. Now that they were in a small world, how could they not abuse their power? Yi Qinghan gestured for Lin Wutian to satisfy the requests of the 4 tigers of despair one by one. Then, he brought over the bejeweled nectar and wine. More than 10 peerless beauties kept urging them to drink. The first batch of wine did not contain any poison. The more the 4 tigers of despair drank, the happier they became. Additionally, they were confident. There were also 18 monks present. They believed that Yi Qinghan would not dare to do anything to the wine. Thus, they drank heartily. Yi Qinghan released the insect queen mother. It slowly approached the 4 tigers of despair. Some of the poison entered the wine and entered the stomachs of the 4 tigers of despair, slowly eroding their hearts. Chapter 1654. After Yi Qinghan released the insect queen mother, the insect queen mother became as small as a feather. Part of it floated around the wine and divine fruits, while the other part attached itself to the beauties, silently invading the 4 experts. "Little monk, aren't you coming with us?" As the saying goes, wine and meat pass through the intestines, but the Buddha Lord's heart remains. Don't pretend to be so righteous outside. As an expert, who doesn't know that the monks of Blessed Buddha Temple are rotten to the core? From the Buddha Lord to the monks, they love wine, sex, politics, and money. Since you've entered this small territory, why don't you have some fun? I won't betray you. Wang Shi laughed maniacally. Ha! Qing Tianhu and the others also laughed. The 18 monks held their staffs. If they didn't need these 4 people, they would have started a massacre long ago. What? Is my big brother wrong? A bunch of trash wearing Blessed Buddha's kasaya, doing the same things as us. At least we don't kill women and children, but you've driven the other races to the brink of extinction, slaughtering those who don't believe in you. Don't think that the world doesn't know how Luo territory was destroyed. No one knows better than you. 18 monks entered this small territory, slaughtered millions of lives, raped, and pillaged. Why are you pretending to be righteous now? Wang Zanhu mocked. Don't talk nonsense. Otherwise, don't blame this little monk for being impolite. The leading monk scolded. Nonsense? Haha, my 3 brothers, he said we're talking nonsense? Wang Shahu sneered. Little Baldy, our wise Supreme Venerable appreciates you, so he gave you a sip of wine. How dare you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit? Who do you think you are? Why aren't you kneeling and kowtowing to our master? The divine bird stood out and scolded disdainfully. The 18 monks were furious, and their staffs were clenched so tightly that it made a soft hum. Wang Shi felt that the divine bird was right. It had given him face, so he was very happy and gave the divine bird a spiritual fruit. The divine bird flattered. Those who were not familiar with it would think that it was really grateful and looked like a servile trader. However, those who really knew it would understand that it was just trying to drive a wedge between the two of them. Almighty Supreme Venerable One, these 18 baldies are really an eyesore. They're affecting the Supreme Venerable One's appetite. Why don't we get them out of here? The divine bird suggested in a wretched manner. Wang Shi did not hesitate at all. He already hated the monks of Blessed Buddha Temple, so he impatiently waved his hand and scolded, "Get out! This hall is where my brother drinks. Don't be an eyesore." The murderous intent of the 18 Buddhist monks suddenly appeared, and they no longer pretended. The murderous intent on their bodies was no less than the murderous intent on Wang Shahu and the others. It could be inferred that the number of people these 18 Buddhist monks had killed was definitely a shocking number. Wang Shahu, you're going to take our break barrier pills. We're your employers now, so please be polite. The Buddhist monk suppressed his anger and murderous intent as he said coldly, "Let's kill them and take all the credit. At the same time, we can rob them of all their wealth." The divine bird suggested. When the 4 tigers of despair heard this, they actually stood up with their weapons in their hands. Yi Qinghan stood outside the main hall of Sword Sect. At this moment, Lin Wutian was evacuating the disciples of Sword Sect. Yen Ao and the others had already rushed over, leading their army to surround Sword Sect. The 22 sector lords retracted their auras. Yen Yunbei even concealed his figure and entered Sword Sect, looking for an opportunity to kill 1 or 2 enemies. Don't be in a hurry to attack. Let them fight among themselves first. Yi Qinghan indifferently transmitted his voice. As expected, the 4 tigers of despair actually started fighting with the 18 Buddhist monks. Sword Sect was razed to the ground, and the blood of the 4 tigers of despair was churning. The venomous parasites all became active. One of them was on the heart, but they did not attack. Thus, the 4 tigers of despair still did not know that they were poisoned. The insect queen mother borrowed the connection of her parasites and entered Wang Shahu's body, waiting for Yi Qinghan's orders. Sword Sect's palace collapsed, and the surroundings were razed to the ground. Only then did they realize that they were surrounded. Wang Shahu was stunned. When he looked for the divine bird again, it would have already escaped. Yi Qinghan stood in front of everyone. His divine robes were cold, and he had a smile on his face. He looked at the monks and the 4 tigers of despair with a smile that sent chills down their spines. "So you are Yi Qinghan?" Wang Shahu's face sank and he coldly asked. "Yes, I am Yi Qinghan." Yi Qinghan indifferently replied. "You think you can kill us 4 tigers of despair with just this group of people? I'm afraid you can't even beat the 18 monks." Wang Shahu disdainfully mocked. "Is that so? We can't beat the 18 monks, but don't we still have you 4 Dao friends?" Yi Qinghan indifferently smiled. Then, his face sank as he ordered, "You 4 kill the 18 monks, and I will spare your lives." Ha! Wang Sha, who seemed to have heard the funniest joke in the world. The other 3 tigers also laughed madly. But Yi Qinghan snapped his fingers, and the poisonous insects inside the 4 tigers of despair began to attack. They corroded the hearts of the 4 experts and took control of their bodies. Their hearts and bones were attacked at the same time. It was as if thousands of ants were gnawing at their hearts. They screamed in pain. "Impossible! I am already immune to poison." Wang Shahu's face was pale as he roared at Yi Qinghan. "What kind of poison did you use?" Yi Qinghan smiled. He looked at the 18 monks and said indifferently, "Kill them, and I will spare your lives. If you can't kill them, you will be buried with them." Yi Qinghan merely waved his hand, and the 4 tigers of despair returned to their original state as if they had never been attacked. "Do it. They can't escape within a 100-mile radius." Whooshed at Yi Qinghan's command, a divine light shone brightly, covering a 100-mile radius of the sword sect's inner sect. With the support of 22 realm lords at the same time, the formation became a prison of heaven and earth. Without Yi Qinghan's permission, no one would be able to escape. Beads of cold sweat appeared on Wang Shahu, Wang Yuhu, and the others' foreheads. Little bastards, do you really think this divine bird has taken a liking to you? In terms of cultivation, my master can kill any one of the 22 of you with a single slap. In terms of appearance, the 22 of you combined can't compare to my master. The divine bird appeared on Yi Qinghan's shoulder and laughed vulgarly. Wang Shahu was furious and his face was red. If he wasn't suppressed by the poisonous insects, he would have charged forward. But now, he could only glare at the divine bird. What are you looking at? Have you never seen such an arrogant divine bird? The divine bird bared its fangs and brandished its claws. The 18 monks and the 4 tigers of despair panted heavily. They were so angry that they felt dizzy. Let's begin. Yi Qinghan couldn't be bothered to listen to their nonsense and directly ordered. The 4 tigers of despair gritted their teeth and said coldly, "If we kill them, can you give us the antidote?" "Sure." "Kill." Boom. Screeched at the 4 tigers of despair were ruthless. They drew their swords and attacked. The 4 of them were like wild tigers, and with lightning speed, they crushed the 18 monks. The monks were caught off guard and were sent flying. Pucci! Yan Yunbei seized the opportunity and used the short sword he had taken away to pierce the head of a monk. Even his soul was shattered and turned into energy that was absorbed by the order of reincarnation. Chapter 1655. Whooshed at a cold light soared into the sky and blood dyed the 9 heavens red. Yan Yunbei's figure flashed and a monk's corpse fell. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The 4 tigers of the land of despair were peerless experts in the land of despair. The 4 of them worked together seamlessly. One of the 18 monks was killed by Yan Yunbei and the formation collapsed. Boom. Hummed just as the 17 monks were scattered, Yi Qinghan leaped up and condensed his energy into a blade. He transformed it into a berserk blade and slashed through the void. Whoosh! A monk was shattered into pieces by Yi Qinghan's energy blade right in front of everyone's eyes. Moreover, it was in a face-to-face situation and he couldn't resist at all. Hiss hiss hiss. The 4 tigers of the land of despair were dumbfounded. They didn't expect their target to be so terrifying. The monk originally thought that Yi Qinghan wouldn't make a move. At this moment, he was so shocked that his face turned pale. Although the 4 tigers of the land of despair were shocked, they weren't muddle-headed. They took advantage of the situation and attacked the monk, heavily injuring him. Whoosh! 21 figures rushed out from the army. Their figures shifted and their blades flashed. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and slashed out again. The blade flashed through the sky like a star exploding. Boom boom boom. Bang bang bang. Yi Qinghan and the 21 Supreme Realm Lords worked together seamlessly. They were even stronger than the 4 tigers of the land of despair. In one move, they didn't give the remaining 16 monks any chance to escape. Puchita blood splashed across the mountains and rivers. The souls scattered and the monk's staff fell into the sword sect's valley. Whoosh! Yen Ao and the others retreated and returned to the front of the army. Their divine robes fluttered as they looked down at the 4 tigers of the land of despair. Their auras were definitely not ordinary experts. Each of them was handsome and valiant. The key point was that they were like a piece of metal without any flaws. Only now did the 4 tigers of the land of despair understand how stupid their actions were. Not to mention 12 boundary-breaking pills, even 120 or 1,000 wouldn't be enough to kill this group of people. Gulp. Wang Shou swallowed a mouthful of saliva as his burly body bowed deeply. He did not even dare to look at Yi Qinghan's calm and indifferent face. Wang Yuhu, Wang Canghu, and Qing Tianhu's cultivation were not as high as Wang Sha's, so they didn't dare to have any other thoughts. Who ordered you to kill me? Yi Qinghan stood at the highest peak, allowing the mountain wind to blow wildly. His hair fluttered in the wind as he looked down at the 4 people. His majestic voice was vast and mighty, suppressing the 4 tigers so much that they did not dare to have any thoughts of rebellion. Esteemed Lord, it's Wanjun Buddha from Blessed Buddha Temple. These 18 monks are his subordinates. Their strength is not bad. Wang Xiaohu replied respectfully. Blessed Buddha Temple. Yi Qinghan clasped his hands behind his back, frowning at the sky. He had no grudges with Blessed Buddha Temple. Could it be that he was the one who touched the Blessed Buddha Pagoda? Or perhaps, the infernal realm had asked for help? Where is Wanjun Buddha? Yi Qinghan asked. Even if we joined forces, we could not enter. Thus, he could only use a shortcut. He utilized the Tao scripture of reincarnation to open up a passageway to send us in. 1 month later, he would bring us back. Who knew, esteemed Lord's strength would make us blush with shame. Forget the fact that you have so many subordinates. Even if you were alone, the 4 of us plus the 18 monks would not be a match for you. Wang Xiao was normally an arrogant person. However, before Yi Qinghan, he could no longer maintain his arrogance. In fact, he even felt inferior. It's good that you know. I had the divine bird Buji suppress the 4 of you only because I do not want to bring disaster to the citizens of the 9 provinces, Yi Qinghan replied coolly. Esteemed Lord, we were just paid to do so. Please show mercy. Wang Xiaohu bowed and begged. Esteemed Lord, please spare our lives. Although we are the 4 tigers of the land of despair and are wanted criminals of the eternal world, none of the people we kill are good people. The other 3 tigers hastily begged. I can spare your lives. However, you will stay here for now. I do not wish to expose my strength, Yi Qinghan said calmly. Thank you, esteemed Lord. Thank you, esteemed Lord. I wonder if our poison... Wang Xiaohu's face was filled with joy as he probed. As long as you do not harbor any evil intentions, the poison is not a problem. You can do whatever you want in the land of the 9 provinces. However, in the land of the 9 provinces, do not commit crimes. Learn to be a normal good person, Yi Qinghan said indifferently. The 4 tigers of the land of despair exhaled. Brothers and sisters, bring the corpses and weapons of the 18 monks back to their positions, Yi Qinghan said in a low voice. Wudian rebuild the sword sect. Alright. The 22 supreme world overlords cupped their fists and retreated with their troops. They moved extremely quickly, leaving behind 22 waves of fire in the sky as they left with their celestial troops. Yi Qinghan sat at the highest point of the dragon vein, side by side with the divine bird as he stared at the holy light. The divine bird was rarely so serious, but it looked somewhat ridiculous. Your star of misfortune has finally erupted. Ha! You have provoked the blessed Buddha temple this time. Next time, will an eternal appear and smash the land of the 9 provinces into smithereens? The divine bird asked disdainfully. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly as he said innocently, What does this have to do with me? I do not know the blessed Buddha temple at all. They came to me on their own accord. The divine bird turned and saw the 4 tigers of the land of despair standing at the foot of the mountain, not daring to leave. It said, Ask these 4 fellows. Perhaps there will be some clues. Yi Qinghan looked at the 4 tigers and asked seriously, Do you know why the blessed Buddha temple wants to kill me? The 4 tigers of the land of despair shook their heads. Wang Xiaohu quickly replied, Esteemed Lord, I did not ask. Even if I did, Wanjun Buddha would not tell me. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and said, Go and play around in this world. Perhaps you will gain some insights. Many thanks, esteemed Lord. All these years, we only know how to kill. Although our combat strength has increased, our mental state has not changed at all. Perhaps we can gain some insights from esteemed Lord. Wang Xiaohu bowed and said. Yi Qinghan nodded. The 4 tigers left, but Yi Qinghan did not. This was because Wanjun Buddha would use the Tao scripture of reincarnation to open the passage a month later. If he did not see Wanjun Buddha, he would try to enter. Thus, he had to guard this place. Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged on the dragon vein, allowing the mountain winds to wreak havoc. He sat there for an entire month, perfecting the world within his body. After more than 10,000 years of evolution, the wild martial great world had already formed a complete reincarnation system. However, the people here did not have a cultivation system, or it could be said that they did not know how to use the world's spiritual energy. Only some animals and plants could absorb the world's spiritual energy to form monsters. Yi Qinghan did not interfere with the world's development. He only occasionally performed miracles to enlighten some people with great wisdom, allowing them to comprehend cultivation methods. Several years later, some weak cultivators would appear. Although they couldn't fly in the sky or burrow into the ground, they could still make the humans here revere them as if they were gods. Although those people from the 9 continents who entered Yi Qinghan's wild martial world had profound cultivation bases, Yi Qinghan imprisoned them in a sacred region. They could choose to leave the wild martial world, but they couldn't interfere with the wild martial world. Their existence was a mystery to the humans of the world. Chapter 1656. Yi Qinghan sat at the end of the dragon vein and waited for a month. Time flew, and a month passed. The holy light distorted, and a deep passageway appeared in front of him. The reincarnation passageway was a shortcut. Unfortunately, nothing could be taken away. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and sent out a thought to enter the eternal world through the passageway. In the land of despair, Wanjun Buddha saw a light screen in the sky. Divine light flashed on the screen, and a few words appeared. His expression changed drastically. I have no grudge against the blessed Buddha temple. As a monk, I should cultivate in seclusion to deliver the people from suffering. Taoist Wanjun, aren't you losing your mind by meddling in the affairs of the mortal world? The words didn't disappear for a long time, as if they were imprinted in the sky. Wanjun Buddha's expression changed, and his killing intent soared to the sky. Not only did he fail to complete his mission, but he also lost 18 of his subordinates. Yi Qinghan, what a powerful man! Wanjun Buddha held a Buddhist seal and glared at the land of the 9 prefectures. Then he turned and left. 1 month later, Wanjun Buddha returned to his temple with a furious expression. Yun Tian Exalted immediately came out to greet him. Judging from his expression, he knew that the mission had failed. Who is this Yi Qinghan? The 4 tigers of the land of despair and the 18 monks couldn't even fight back against him. What are you hiding? Wanjun Buddha asked in a deep voice. Yun Tian Exalted frowned and said coldly, I didn't hide anything. Also, I told you in advance that you shouldn't underestimate this man. We are just cooperating. You take the reincarnation fruit, and I take the soul. Now that you have failed the mission, you want to bite back? Amitabha. I don't blame you. I underestimated him. Wanjun Buddha took a deep breath. He knew that it would be difficult to get the reincarnation fruit. Yun Tian Exalted's eyes flashed coldly. If he didn't kill Yi Qinghan, he wouldn't be able to complete his mission. He gritted his teeth and said in a deep voice, since this man is so difficult to deal with, why don't we join hands and recruit some bandits from the land of despair and force our way into the 9 worlds? Alright. I have suffered heavy losses this time. If I don't kill Yi Qinghan, it will be difficult for me to get rid of the hatred in my heart. Wanjun Buddha no longer pretended. His cold killing intent was even more vicious than that of a mortal. Wanjun Buddha and Cloud Sky Exalted Holiness joined forces to change the order and bring their bodies into the land of the 9 states to capture Yi Qinghan. In the land of despair, there were many experts, and all of them were extremely ferocious. At this moment, the 2 of them had spent a lot of money to recruit experts. In the land of the 9 provinces, Yi Qinghan still hadn't left the sword sect. He stood at the end of the dragon vein and looked around, thinking of a way to resolve this crisis. But what he didn't know was that the one who had given the order to capture him was none other than an eternal one. How many eternal sovereigns could there be? In all of eternal world, there were only a handful of such existences. Not to mention, this was the Lord of Hell, an eternal one of hell. Rather than sit here and wait for death, why don't we enter eternal world and fight them? The divine bird suggested viciously. Yi Qinghan shook his head and muttered expressionlessly, no, if we kill them all, wouldn't that infuriate the Eternal One? Even if I combine all the 9 worlds together, I still won't be a match for such an existence. Then what should we do? We can't keep wasting time like this, right? The divine bird sighed. It really didn't want to be suppressed by others. Time is meaningless to us. As long as we don't get killed, we still have endless years. Why bother with them? Yi Qinghan replied indifferently. Perhaps. The divine bird flapped its wings and lay on Yi Qinghan's shoulder, sleeping leisurely. At this moment, Yi Qinghan stepped into the holy light and allowed the lightning to strike him. Countless lightning bolts were even more terrifying than the lightning tribulation of divine Lord Righteous Sky and Cloud Sky Exalted Holiness. The explosions caused dust to fly all around and covered space. But Yi Qinghan allowed the lightning to strike his body. The divine bird was so scared that it rushed into the bloodline. It was scared silly by this terrifying lightning tribulation. Yi Qinghan's black hair fluttered and his black robe was torn apart by the hurricane. After one joss stick's worth of time, the lightning tribulation automatically dispersed. Yi Qinghan brushed away the filth on his body and allowed the holy light to envelop him. His body felt warm and his fleshly body had become slightly stronger. At this point, even a slight increase in strength was a huge improvement. What? Yi Qinghan's figure flashed and he entered the land of despair. Thick spiritual energy covered the sky and covered the earth. Tall mountains and precipitous ridges were incomparably thick. Endless mountains and rivers. The gravity and order here were completely different from the 9 provinces. Even an expert at his level couldn't fly here. Order. It was completely under the control of an eternal being. Flying, apart from birds with extraordinary talents, was a privilege reserved for eternal beings. Only by controlling the order of eternal world could one become a true god, overlooking and controlling all living beings. Yi Qinghan strolled through the mountains and rivers. His divine sense covered a distance of 500 kilometers. But for such mountains and rivers, what was the difference between 500 kilometers and a grain of sand in the ocean? Damn, this is eternal world? The divine bird rushed out, its eyes almost popping out. Hiss. Yi Qinghan and the divine bird inhaled a mouthful of eternal world's air at the same time. They relaxed and sighed. The air here is so beautiful. Let's fight for territory. The divine bird suggested excitedly. Yi Qinghan rolled his eyes and snorted. Humph, you can't even protect yourself and you still want to fight for territory? You sure have a big heart. The divine bird flapped its wings and its eyes gleamed. It was drooling as it found treasures everywhere. However, Yi Qinghan didn't come here to look for treasures. I'm here to see if this is hell. I'll ask the people of Blessed Buddha Temple to help and find a solution. As for those treasures, we'll talk about them later. They won't be able to escape, Yi Qinghan calmly reminded. After saying that, Yi Qinghan walked towards the central area of the land of despair. Along the way, many experts and villains rushed towards the central area. They seemed to have a common goal. Yi Qinghan hid in the dark and listened to their discussions. Blessed Buddha Temple is really going all out this time. Resources, pills, secret arts, divine abilities, weapons, they're all free to choose. I wonder what they're going to do. I reckon it's going to be an extremely dangerous operation. Otherwise, they wouldn't give us the benefits. Horses won't get fat if they don't feed at night. Who cares? We're people who've licked blood from blades. What danger is there to be afraid of? Let's go to the central area and see the 10,000 June Buddha first. There were about 7 to 8 people in the group. They should be from some organization. They were all dressed similarly and looked very fierce. The weakest of them was at the initial stage of Sector Lord and there were 2 at the advanced stage. Such existences would be overlords in the land of the 9 provinces. But now, they were actually forced into a dangerous place like the land of despair. Yi Qinghan silently tailed this group of people. He was extremely careful and those villains didn't notice him. A few days later, they arrived at the central area of the land of despair. They discovered that in the center of a valley, 10,000 June Buddha and Cloud Sky Exalted were recruiting people. There were many experts gathered around them and they were all at the peak level. They didn't need rookies at the pseudo-sector lord level. A large group of pseudo-sector lords shook their heads and smiled bitterly. Yi Qinghan hid in the distance and looked at the 2 people in the center of the valley. He didn't recognize Cloud Sky Exalted and 10,000 June Buddha. However, 10,000 June Buddha had a fat head and big ears. He was wearing a kasaya and was obviously from the blessed Buddha temple. With such a high cultivation, he was definitely 10,000 June Buddha. On the other hand, Cloud Sky Exalted had the aura of hell. Chapter 1657. Tall mountains and steep ridges, ancient trees and thistles. Yi Qinghan was hiding beside a waterfall at the top of a mountain. He was only 60 meters away from the valley and could see everything clearly. The valley wasn't big, but there were around 300 to 500 people. There were still many people rushing over. Most of the fake realm lords stayed at the periphery. Only the leaders of some teams were standing in the valley. June Buddha had a kind and benevolent expression, giving people the feeling that he was going to save the world. He was sitting on a huge rock with his palms together. He didn't have much reaction to the appearance of the villains. Everyone calm down. When everyone is gathered, I will tell you all at once. This time, it's not dangerous. However, if you are going to the small region, the rewards I will give you will not disappoint. June Buddha's voice was deep and resounding. What kind of mission is it? Don't tell me you are still going to the 9 worlds? Where are the 4 tigers of the land of despair and the 18 monks beside you? Did the mission fail? It seems like this mission isn't without danger, it's extremely dangerous. At this moment, a burly man walked out. He had a ferocious face and a murderous aura. It was Wang Yanzhang. This person knew that June Buddha had brought people to carry out a mission. Hence, he told the truth. On one hand, he wanted to raise the price. On the other hand, he wanted the weak to scram. June Buddha raised his head slightly and looked at Wang Yanzhang. He looked like a middle-aged man in his 40s. His cultivation had already reached the peak of the realm lord realm. He was 1 level stronger than Wang Shao. It was impossible for him to not know such an expert. So it's Dao friend Wang. I didn't expect you to be able to escape to the land of despair after offending so many powers. I am impressed. June Buddha smiled. Wang Yanzhang didn't give him any face and said coldly, "Stop talking nonsense. There are many experts here. Any mission can be completed. Let's get straight to the point. What kind of mission are you carrying out? The person beside you has the aura of death. Who is he?" "I am the Reincarnation City Lord of Hell's 17th District, Yun Tian. Greetings, fellow Taoists. I am under orders to capture a bastard who is tampering with the order of reincarnation. However, he is hiding in the land of sinners and is guarded by the 9 cauldrons heaven sealing formation. It is very difficult to enter the 9 worlds from hell. Hence, I beg June Buddha and fellow Taoists to help me. As long as you can capture Yi Qinghan's soul, I will give you 2 realm-breaking pills and a secret art. I will remember this favor," Cloud Sky High Venerable said in a deep voice. Hiss. Hell Samsara City Lord, and he was from the 17th district. Many of the villains sucked in a breath of cold air. Such an existence might not have the highest cultivation, but their status was transcendent. Who could guarantee that they wouldn't die? If he received this favor, even if he couldn't enter the riches and honor reincarnation pool in the future, it was still possible for him to enter a good reincarnation pool as a complete soul body. So it's High Venerable Cloud Sky from the 17th district. I've heard a lot about you. I'm Wang Yanzhang, and people call me the Soul Slayer. We're family. Wang Yanzhang laughed. The Cloud Sky High Holiness laughed in agreement. Since he was in the mortal world, he had to show some respect to these murderous people. Taoist Wang, that's a good nickname. Now that you mention it, we are indeed family, Cloud Sky High Holiness said with a smile. Greetings, Cloud Sky Exalted. The nearby villains and bandits all cupped their fists in salute. If they could avoid offending someone from hell, they definitely couldn't. Yi Qinghan hid behind an ancient tree and looked at the valley. He looked at the group of villains and estimated their strength. He roughly knew that there were 7 to 8 people in this group who could threaten him. June Buddha and Cloud Sky High Holiness were definitely included. Wang Yanzhang's aura was restrained, and his combat strength was definitely not just at the peak of the world overlord realm. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed as he stared at 3 people standing at the side of the valley. The 3 of them were wearing bamboo hats and had been standing there with their arms crossed. They didn't even greet Cloud Sky High Holiness. Their bodies were emitting a terrifying aura. The 3 of them were strong opponents. The other 2 were hiding in the crowd. Their cultivation bases were extremely terrifying. Yi Qinghan knew that he wasn't a match for the 8 of them. He prepared to retreat quietly. But at this moment, a figure flew past above his head. They were the villains who came from afar to accept a mission. They accidentally discovered Yi Qinghan. "Since you are here, why are you hiding?" "We are all here to accept a mission." "Why are you hiding?" The person who came was a one-armed man. There was a 7 to 8-year-old girl beside him. He was standing on a small hill to the left of Yi Qinghan. He raised his head and questioned coldly. Swish. Everyone looked at Yi Qinghan. Their gazes met, and their aura surged. Cloud Sky High Holiness's eyes flashed coldly. He raised the corner of his lips and said coldly, "Yi Qinghan? There is a path to heaven, but you don't want to take it. There is no door to hell, but you insist on coming." Swish. Everyone was in an uproar. They didn't expect Yi Qinghan to come to Eternal World from the 9 Worlds Heaven while they were trying to recruit him. Yi Qinghan frowned. He walked out from behind the ancient tree and looked at the one-armed man coldly. Killing intent flashed across his eyes. "It's really you? I didn't expect your cultivation to be so strong. You have been here for so long, but I didn't notice you at all." Cloud Sky High Holiness said coldly. Swish. Everyone's figures flashed. Although they couldn't fly, they could cover more than 10 zhang in a single leap. They stood on top of the mountains and suppressed Yi Qinghan in this area. The one-armed man didn't expect his unintentional action to expose his target. He immediately carried the little girl on his back and tied her up with an iron chain. Then he pulled out a huge sword and looked at Yi Qinghan coldly. Yi Qinghan smiled bitterly. He tapped the ground with the tip of his foot and jumped down from the cliff that was several zhang high. He stepped on the waterfall and stood on top of a small mountain. He ignored the others and said to Cloud Sky High Holiness, "It was just an unintentional action. Why do you have to keep pestering me?" "Pumph. I didn't give the order this time. It was given by the Great Eternal One. Do you want to go to hell with me, or do you want me to shatter your body and bring your soul back for punishment?" Cloud Sky High Holiness snorted coldly. "What about you guys? We don't have any grudges against each other. Why do you have to interfere in this matter?" Yi Qinghan glanced at the crowd and asked calmly. "Yi Qinghan? Since I've taken their money, I'll have to take care of their problems. So, he is just a young man. You guys don't have to do anything to him. I will accept this mission," Wang Yanzhang said coldly. The crowd didn't stop him. Some didn't dare to oppose Wang Yanzhang, but some were smart enough to know that Wang Yanzhang alone wouldn't be able to deal with someone who could make Wanjun Buddha and Cloud Sky High Holiness gather so many people. Therefore, they were smart enough to wait and see. Boom! Wang Yanzhang's hands turned black. He grabbed the rocks around him and shattered them. Then, he twisted his foot and broke through the shackles. Then, he charged toward Yi Qinghan with his soul-snatching claws as if he was flying. Sigh, Yi Qinghan sighed slightly. He looked at Wang Yanzhang coldly and raised his hand. Then he grasped at Wang Yanzhang's soul-snatching claws. Chapter 1658. Wang Yanzhang's soul-chasing palm exuded black energy. His fingernails pierced through space and arrived before Yi Qinghan. In the face of Wang Yanzhang's famous ultimate move, even Buddha Wanjun and the others felt the need to avoid it. However, when they saw Yi Qinghan raise his hand to grab the pair of sharp claws, their eyes widened. Bang! Gotcha! Yi Qinghan reached out and grabbed Wang Yanzhang's sharp claws. Surprisingly, he managed to break Wang Yanzhang's sharp claws. With a backhand, he pressed Wang Yanzhang down and forced him to kneel before him. Boom! Yi Qinghan pressed his wrist down and his elbows smashed towards Wang Yanzhang's head. He restrained Wang Yanzhang, making him unable to move. In terms of fleshly body, those below the eternal realm who could defeat Yi Qinghan might be talented existences. However, they were definitely not Wang Yanzhang. This Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Wang Yanzhang was a famous expert. Even his famous ultimate move could not stop Yi Qinghan's casual attack. I have no enmity with Eternal World. I hope you fellows will not lose your mind for the sake of benefits and make things difficult for me. Yi Qinghan pressed Wang Yanzhang down. He did not kill him. Instead, he calmly reminded him. The one-armed man's pupils shrunk. He did not expect Yi Qinghan to be so strong. Now that he had exposed his identity, this enmity would most likely be formed. Bang! Yi Qinghan waved his hand and flung Wang Yanzhang away. He stared at the crowd and warned in a deep voice, I don't cause trouble, but I'm absolutely not afraid of it. Listen to my advice and leave this place. The grudge between me and the infernal realm will be resolved by us. If you dare to interfere, I guarantee that no more than 5 of you will be able to leave alive. Yi Qinghan raised his palm and clenched it tightly. His might was terrifying. Arrogant. Do you know how many overlords are here? Which one of them did not offend a superpower and hide here? A hot-tempered man immediately stood out and rebuked. Yi Qinghan calmly glanced at him. His cultivation base wasn't bad, but he still didn't place him in his eyes. There was a difference between the peak of the World Overlord realm and the initial stage of the World Overlord realm. For someone like you, it's not a problem for me to take on hundreds of you alone, Yi Qinghan replied coldly. You. The burly man was furious, but seeing that the others didn't show any signs of attacking, he didn't dare to take a step forward. Staring at Yi Qinghan, Cloudy Sky High Holiness reminded him in a cold voice, Yi Qinghan, I don't care how powerful your cultivation base is. However, the one who wants to take your life is not me, but the Eternal Sovereign. If I don't take you back this time, I'm afraid that the Eternal Sovereign will take action. You won't be the only one who will suffer. All the experts of your 9 worlds heavens will be implicated. The corner of Yi Qinghan's mouth twitched. He snorted, if an Eternal Sovereign takes action for an ant, wouldn't he be laughed at by the world? This was the truth. It wasn't that the Eternal Sovereigns didn't know that those wanted criminals were in the absolute domain. It was just that no one came to capture them. No matter how great the hatred was, they wouldn't take action personally because they were lofty existences. Since the Supreme Eternal Sovereigns aren't willing to take action, I will take action today. Do you think you can escape from here today? Cloudy Sky High Holiness's lips curled up. He waved his hand towards the crowd and said, Fellow Taoists, you don't have to take action today. As long as you imprison him here and don't let him escape, I will owe you a favor. To put it bluntly, if I have the chance to meet you in hell, I will definitely repay this favor. Most of the experts took action and joined forces to encircle the valley. Heaven imprisoning formation. Yi Qinghan was paying attention to the 8 experts and the one-armed man who appeared at the end. Other than Wang Yanzhang, the others didn't take action. Wanjun Buddha's face was filled with killing intent. He stared at Yi Qinghan and asked gloomily, Where are the 18 monks under my command? Did you kill the 4 tigers of the absolute domain? Yi Qinghan warned in a cold voice, Blessed Buddha Temple is a colossus that I didn't want to provoke. However, you came to provoke me. The Buddha Lord shouldn't put the blame on me for this. They died because of you, Wanjun Buddha. If you are really a monk, you should save all living beings from suffering. You shouldn't start a massacre for the sake of worldly affairs. It won't do you any good to deal with me. If that's the case, then let's cut the crap. Cloudy Sky High Holiness and Wanjun Buddha looked at each other and said, Buddha, let's join forces and take him down. I won't go back on my words. Amitabha. Then this little monk will save all living beings from suffering and convert this evil creature. Hua! Wanjun Buddha opened his mouth. His Sanskrit chants pierced through one's soul, causing one to feel drowsy. Amitabha. His voice was mighty, but it was only targeted at Yi Qinghan. Unfortunately, Yi Qinghan's eyes were as clear as water. He had even experienced the deadly Sanskrit chants in the Boundary Pagoda. How could he be afraid of Wanjun Buddha's chants? Swish! Cloudy Sky High Holiness waved his hand and summoned the Mirror of Rebirth. As long as one was bound by the light of the Mirror of Rebirth, they would definitely enter the cycle of reincarnation. There was nowhere to hide. Yi Qinghan was most wary of reincarnation high holiness. In terms of cultivation, they were on par. In addition, this underworld artifact was hard to defend against. At this moment, he was very cautious and looked around for a way to escape. You won't be able to escape today. Reincarnation. Swish! The light of reincarnation suddenly shot out. Anyone who came in contact with it would die and take away all life. However, it was controlled very carefully and wouldn't harm the overlords outside the array. Boom! Wanjun Buddha held the Buddha's staff and smashed it toward Yi Qinghan. Swish! Boundless heaven and earth, yin-yang borrowing power. Divine light shot out from the yin-yang mystic record to resist the rebirth mirror. Yi Qinghan slashed his palm toward Wanjun Buddha. Boom! 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 The three of them fought crazily in the array. Although they couldn't fly or burrow into the ground, the mountain rocks were broken by the three of them. Yi Qinghan was fighting against two at the same time. He was extremely fast. He punched Yun Tian High Holiness and kicked Wanjun Buddha. His rebirth mirror was suppressed by the yin-yang mystic record and couldn't resist at all. So you're a bastard from the yin-yang mystic race. Knowing the law and breaking it, you'll be punished even more. Wait for your death. Yun Tian High Holiness formed a seal with his palms. The horrifying aura of death and reincarnation spread out and shrouded the valley. It was incompatible with the Buddha's chants, but it carried a destructive aura that made people tremble in fear. Heavenly Dragon Tail Whip. Roar! Roar! Yi Qinghan let out a dragon roar. He swept his long legs and kicked Wanjun Buddha. His aura shook the sky. Boom! 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 This kick landed on Wanjun Buddha's staff. His strength was enough to destroy mountains and rivers. Wanjun Buddha was pushed back, and the mountain rocks under his feet were crushed. Yi Qinghan borrowed the force and flew backward. He attacked Yun Tian High Holiness with the power of yin and yang. Boom! 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 Yi Qinghan's palm seals kept changing. His body was like a heavenly dragon coiling around silk. It was as if he was teleporting. The experts outside could only see a faint shadow flashing by. Yi Qinghan's real body was nowhere to be seen. Boom! Just as Yun Tian High Holiness was searching for Yi Qinghan, a deafening clap came from behind him. He was so frightened that he quickly recalled his rebirth mirror and counterattacked. Boom! Unfortunately, at this moment, Yi Qinghan attacked from his left and slammed his palm into the left side of his waist, breaking several of his ribs. Chapter 1659. Among the hundreds of experts, Yi Qinghan noticed 8 of them. Other than Cloud Sky Exalted and Buddha who were fighting to the death, the other 6 and the one-armed man were standing far away. Their eyes flickered with astonishment. They didn't expect that there would be such a powerful sector lord in this small place. The corner of the one-armed man's mouth twitched. He slowly took a step back with the little girl on his back. 10th uncle. This person is very strong. We have offended him. The 8-year-old girl said worriedly. Sai, it's all my fault. I was too impatient and wanted to help you fight for some resources. Lin Shui, if we really fight with him later, you should take the opportunity to leave this region. Run as far as you can. I might not be his match. The one-armed man said in a deep voice. After speaking, he placed the little girl on the ground. However, the little girl's expression didn't change. She didn't panic at all. Seeing how powerful Yi Qinghan was, the one-armed man actually said that he might not be his match. One could see how terrifying his cultivation base was. As for the little girl, her strength couldn't be underestimated either. On the surface, she looked like a giant god. But in fact, there was a destructive power hidden in her body. As long as she unleashed it, even a high-level sector lord would be instantly killed. At the same time, the 3 black-robed men with bamboo hats were leaning against the stone wall. Their expressions couldn't be seen, but their eyes were exceptionally bright and deep. Boss Yu, should we make a move? One of the black-robed men asked in a low voice. Wait, this person isn't at a disadvantage even when fighting 1 against 2. It seems like he is still hiding part of his strength. It's best not to provoke such a person. But if there's a chance, kill him immediately. Maybe his life can help us exchange for the things we need. The black-robed man in the middle said indifferently. The three of them were at the peak of the Sector Lord realm. Moreover, they had advanced for many years. The three of them had killed countless people and were famous for being ruthless bandits. They specifically targeted the rich and powerful clans and robbed hundreds of clans. Now that they were still safe and sound, one could see their strength. The two peak experts hidden in the crowd were lone rangers. They had always been alone and didn't trust anyone. At this moment, they were hesitating whether to make a move or not because Yi Qinghan's performance was too shocking. Boom! Yi Qinghan sent Buddha flying with a palm strike. With the yin-yang record in his hand, Cloud Sky Exalted Paragon was forced to retreat. Swish! Swish! Everywhere it passed, everything was shattered into dust. Even the heaven prison enchantment formed by hundreds of sector lords trembled from the impact. Amitba! Vile spawn, today, this Buddha will borrow the power of the Buddha Lord to kill you. Whoosh! The Wanjun Buddha was burning with anger. His fat head and big ears were flushed red. His palms continuously formed seals, and Buddhist light soared into the sky. However, the Buddhist light carried a murderous aura, which was even more shocking. That a beam of Buddhist light appeared at the peak of the heavens, bathing the Buddha in it, causing his aura to suddenly rise. He quickly rushed into the void and actually flew up. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. An afterimage of a Buddha appeared in the sky and merged with the Buddha. Great Buddha hand. Boom! That the Buddha raised his hand, and the Buddha's afterimage also raised his hand. Suddenly, it pressed down like a giant hand that covered the sky. It brought the order of all things to bind Yi Qinghan. It was as if the Buddha Lord had personally arrived, making it impossible for him to resist. He didn't even have the will to resist. Blessed Buddha Temple's top 10 Buddhist arts. The 6th-ranked Buddhist art, I heard that it was personally created by the Buddha Lord. It's boundless power, but to a sector lord, it's a forbidden art. Who would have thought that Yi Qinghan would actually make the Buddha use a forbidden art? This Yi Qinghan is truly terrifying. No wonder the Eternal of Hell personally issued in order to capture him. This wanted order is even more terrifying than ours. Everyone was in an uproar as they discussed. Yi Qinghan used stellar transposition and dodged in the valley. However, he couldn't escape from the great Buddha hand's restraint. He could only resist it head-on. Boom! Boom! Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. His palms formed seals continuously, and his legs opened slightly. His palms shot up to the sky, wanting to overturn the heavens. Heaven-flipping palm. Boom! Yi Qinghan's veins bulged, and a dragon-shaped afterimage surrounded his golden body. His entire body's strength poured out, shaking the heavens and earth. The solemn and stirring rhythm reverberated in all directions, causing everyone's blood to boil. Bang! The great Buddha hand of one of the top 10 Buddhist arts clashed with Yi Qinghan's peak attack. The two palms clashed against the great Buddha hand. Qi rushed to the heavens, and the shockwave was equivalent to their combined attack. It scattered the array outside, and a light beam shot out in all directions. Boom! Boom! Ka-ka-ka! The mountain rocks beneath Yi Qinghan's feet crumbled, and he was directly smashed into the ground, burying himself up to his knees. However, the great Buddha hand was actually pierced through, and the heaven-flipping palm struck the Buddha's body. Boom! Bang! That the heaven-flipping palm imprint blasted onto the palms of Wanjun Buddha's true body. The Buddha shadow behind him was shattered, and Wanjun Buddha let out a miserable shriek as he was sent flying. Impossible! The Buddha roared, and his face was filled with unwillingness. Hua! Zeng zeng zeng! Yi Qinghan's physical body was sent flying, and his legs were pulled out from the ground. Step by step, he left behind footprints. His face was pale, and his body was bleeding. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He knew his own cultivation. If it wasn't for Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable, he could definitely kill the Buddha with 10 peak attacks. However, he was defeated by the great Buddha hand. It was obvious that the great Buddha hand could instantly increase the Buddha's strength by 100 times. Bang! Yi Qinghan pressed his palm on a huge rock, leaving a 5-finger imprint on the huge rock. Only then did his physical body stabilize. He held the yin-yang mystic record in his hand and stared at the restless crowd. Puffed out, his blood was boiling, and he couldn't control it well. He spat it out, and his internal organs were almost displaced. Feud Yi Qinghan heaved a sigh of relief. The Buddha didn't suffer any serious injuries, but the Buddha energy in his body was scattered, and he was at the end of his rope. Swish! The Buddha took out a great Buddha elixir and swallowed it. His cultivation recovered rapidly. Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable took advantage of Yi Qinghan spitting out blood. The rebirth mirror released the heaven-devouring light and charged toward Yi Qinghan. Go! Yi Qinghan stretched out his hand and blocked the yin-yang mystic record. The divine light and the rebirth mirror clashed, and the momentum was terrifying. We can't delay any longer. If you get injured again, the others won't hold back anymore. The divine bird looked at the surrounding crowd and reminded him. Heaven and earth are limitless, and yin and yang are the law. 1 controls heaven and earth, 2 controls yin and yang, and 3 controls everything. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly as he formed seals with his palms faster and faster. He instantly unleashed his strongest combat strength, and countless runes turned into divine weapons that attacked in all directions. Swish! 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 Bang! 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 Tens of thousands of divine weapons attacked the crowd. They were extremely sharp, and they killed without leaving a trace. This move instantly sucked away 2/3 of Yi Qinghan's energy, and the surrounding experts were caught off guard. Many experts were penetrated by the energy, and they suffered heavy casualties. The 2 strongest attacks landed on the Buddha and Cloud Sky Exalted Venerable, and they were sent flying again. Swish! Yi Qinghan turned around and left. He crushed the mountain rocks with a single step, and his figure shot into the distance like an arrow. At this moment, the 3 black-clothed men, Wang Yanzhang, and a few others who were hiding in the crowd all rushed out. Their sword auras were like rainbows as they approached Yi Qinghan's back. Chapter 1660. Those experts were not the only ones who made a move. There were also many realm lords who wanted to take advantage of the situation to capture Yi Qinghan. Swoosh! Swoosh! Yi Qinghan shuttled through the wilderness and quickly disappeared from everyone's sight. A large number of experts chased after him from all directions. Even pseudo-world overlords joined in. In this vast eternal world, order was strict. Even world overlords couldn't overturn the heavens or fly. Their divine senses couldn't cover too far. At this moment, the human wave tactic was effective. 10th uncle, what should we do? The little girl looked up at the one-armed man and asked. The one-armed man's face was solemn. He held the short knife and looked into the distance. He said in a deep voice, "Let's follow him and take a look. Remember, no matter if I'm by your side or not, you can't expose your identity. From now on, you will be called Lin Shui. Don't tell anyone where you are from." 10th uncle, I understand. The little girl was very obedient and nodded. In the depths of the desolate region, Yi Qinghan was running aimlessly. At this moment, the energy in his body was almost exhausted. He had less than 1/3 of it left. He couldn't fight against those people and could only run as far as he could. Swoosh! Swoosh! Yi Qinghan was panting heavily as he ran between the ravines. He relied on the thistles and thorns to hide his figure. Not only did he have to hide from people, he also had to hide from the birds in the sky and the beasts on the ground. In order to avoid people, he had no choice but to take risks. He purposely went through dangerous places and cliffs. The desolate region was mobilized and enemies were everywhere. In order to kill Yi Qinghan, Cloud Sky Venerable and Wanjun Buddha promised that anyone who found Yi Qinghan would get a Buddha heart pellet. If they killed Yi Qinghan, the pellet would be given 10 times the price. They also promised to use secret techniques and divine abilities, which were all top-notch divine abilities in the great world. This is my only chance to kill him. If I miss this chance, I can only let the eternal sovereigns do it themselves. Moreover, Yi Qinghan has committed an unforgivable crime. If he isn't killed, the order of hell will be challenged. Thus, the eternal sovereigns will definitely take action. If an eternal sovereign takes action against a junior, he will definitely be laughed at by the other eternal sovereigns. The eternal sovereigns of hell are very prideful and will kill me to vent their anger. As cloud sky venerable thought, cold sweat dripped down his body. The ferocious light in his eyes. The rebirth mirror in his hand. Swoosh, swoosh. A bird in the sky released a long cry that was extremely mournful. A few individuals with exceptional talent could control birds, rushing into the clouds and overlooking the great earth of the great region, continuously searching. He is in the western region. I found him. Swoosh. Suddenly, a roar came from the sky. A powerful cultivator stood on top of a bird and stared at Yi Qinghan's back. Yi Qinghan's back was too arrogant, and his aura was powerful. The sound of something tearing through the air was enough to make one's soul tremble. A single stone unexpectedly drew out flames, and it was even more powerful than a divine arrow. It pierced through the bird's wings. Screech. Swoosh. The swoosh. The swoosh. 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 The swoosh. The swoosh. The swoosh. The swoosh. 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 Yi Qinghan took advantage of the opportunity to dodge and began to run madly. His speed was as fast as lightning and ferocious as a tiger. Every time he covered a distance of several hundred feet, he flashed across the air above the cliff and rushed from one mountain to another. Swoosh. 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 Yi Qinghan. Swoosh. 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 Yi Qinghan was panting heavily. His face was flushed. He leaned against a rock and covered himself with grass. There was even a tree branch on his back. The tree branch was so dense that it hid him from the swoosh. Do you know where we are? How much longer until we reach the entrance of the 9 prefectures? Yi Qinghan asked as he panted heavily. The divine bird flew over and surveyed the surroundings. Soon, it returned to Yi Qinghan's shoulder. It frowned and said, "With our current speed, we still have to avoid being tracked by the swoosh. It will take at least a month to reach the entrance." Damn it. I don't have any strength left. I need to rest. Help me guard the entrance, Yi Qinghan said tiredly. The divine bird had no choice but to agree. It cautiously flew over the high ground and helped to stand guard. Yi Qinghan sat cross-legged on the ground and absorbed the spiritual energy in the world. His body was like a vast ocean. The spiritual energy in the world poured into his body, but he was like a bottomless pit. Without special treasures, it would be difficult for him to recover his strength in a short period of time, let alone restore his divine power to its peak state. Half a day later, he recovered 30% of his strength. He also recovered a lot of his energy. The sky was already dark. Logically speaking, the night was the safest time. However, the divine bird rushed down from the high ground and said, "Quickly get up and move. That one-armed old bastard is coming again." Yi Qinghan frowned and spread out his divine sense. His divine sense was much stronger than others. 10 li away, he saw the one-armed man and the little girl dodging in all directions. It was as if they were also fleeing for their lives. They were getting closer and closer. 10 li was nothing to the one-armed man. In 3 breaths of time, they were within 10 li. Yi Qinghan hesitated for a moment. He was already less than 1 li away from this place. Shh. The man didn't seem to release his divine sense. He cautiously brought the little girl and headed east. Occasionally, he would grab some spiritual fruits for the little girl. His target didn't seem to be Yi Qinghan. Yi Qinghan lay on the ground and used a rock to hide himself. He wasn't prepared to escape. Instead, he hoped to avoid the one-armed man and let him leave with the little girl first. The footsteps were getting closer and closer. Yi Qinghan had restrained his aura. Even if he released his divine sense, he might not be able to discover him. Why is this guy getting closer and closer? The divine bird anxiously transmitted. It doesn't matter. They are very fast. They should be able to avoid us. Yi Qinghan continued hiding behind the rock. He even stopped breathing. At that moment, a clear voice sounded. "10th uncle, I want to rest for a while." The little girl panted in shorts. Her arms were exposed. Her clothes were very simple. She didn't look like a princess of a large family clan. Alright, there's a rock over there. Go sit there for a while. 10th uncle will get you some water and spiritual fruits. The one-armed man replied dotingly. Yi Qinghan's eyes twitched. This was too much of a coincidence. Yi Qinghan was sweating profusely. He sensed the little girl sitting on the rock. As long as she turned her head, she would be able to see him. Now, if he moved, even the little girl would be able to detect him, let alone the man. Damn, you guys are like ghosts. Do we owe you anything? The divine bird couldn't help but roar. The little girl was curiously looking down at the tree branch and the divine bird on Yi Qinghan's back. The divine bird saw her looking at it and immediately questioned her angrily. The little girl immediately jumped down from the rock and hid in a safe spot. She held something that looked like a chessboard in her hand and stared at Yi Qinghan and the divine bird. Yi Qinghan slowly stood up and patted his butt. He sat on the rock and stared at the one-armed man and the little girl. The corner of his mouth kept twitching. The man was also shocked. He didn't expect to meet Yi Qinghan here. He pulled the little girl behind him warily and said, Lin Shui, run quickly. Run into a small realm. Don't ever enter the great world again. Yi Qinghan grunted and said coldly, What a pair of enemies. I deliberately avoided you guys, but we still met. Chapter 1661. The atmosphere was stifling as Yi Qinghan and the one-armed man faced each other. However, Shui Lin did not run away. Her pearl-like eyes stared at Yi Qinghan and the divine bird. The one-armed man was very nervous. He kept telling Shui Lin to run away, but Shui Lin held her chessboard and faced off against Yi Qinghan. She was unwilling to leave. Yi Qinghan's eyes flashed coldly. He knew that the one-armed man was very strong. Moreover, this little girl was probably not to be trifled with, so he was not in a hurry to attack. You too, did I owe you in my previous life? Do I have a grudge against you? Yi Qinghan asked with a cold smile. The one-armed man did not speak. Shui Lin's eyes were very innocent. She shook her head and said, No, I didn't mean to see you. Stupid girl, who told you to turn around? Who told you to rest? You would have been fine if you had just walked over. The divine bird's feathers fluttered as it scolded angrily. The one-armed man took a deep breath and said in a deep voice, Sir, we didn't mean to offend you. We didn't know that you were the target they were looking for. It was an unintentional mistake. We were also running for our lives. Let's mind our own business, okay? Mind our own business? But my enemy is right in front of me and your enemy isn't. I can't believe you. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and summoned the yin-yang mystic record. His killing intent was instantly released. Yi Qinghan, you just fought with two experts. You probably have less than 10% of your strength left. Even if you rested for a moment, you probably wouldn't have more than 30% of your strength left. Even if you were at your peak, you wouldn't be able to kill me, let alone 30%. Why do you want to hurt both of us and reap the benefits? The one-armed man replied proudly. You've ruined my plans time and time again. It's impossible for me to let you go now. Since you're running for your lives, follow me. However, you have to hand this little brat over to me as a hostage. Once I reach the entrance of the 9 prefectures, I'll naturally let you go. Yi Qinghan said coldly. Impossible. She's the only child of my Lin clan. How can she be your hostage? The one-armed man angrily rebuked. Yi Qinghan smirked and threatened, In front of me, you can't protect the Lin family's only heir. You have no choice. 10th uncle, don't be impulsive. I believe this uncle won't kill the innocent. Let's follow him so that we can take care of each other. Maybe we can enter the small territory with him. Won't that be safer? Shui Lin did not panic in the face of danger. She was so calm that it was a bit abnormal. It was a bit like the wisdom of thousands of years, not a 7 or 8-year-old child. Yi Qinghan was also quite surprised. He did not expect this little girl to be so courageous. Young master, you are the last child of our neighbor's family. Master personally handed you over to me. How can I let you become a hostage? The one-armed man transmitted his voice in a gloomy manner. He would never allow such a thing to happen. 10th uncle, you are not our family's servant. My 9 uncles are already dead because of me. I don't want to take any more risks. I will follow this person. Listen to me. I will be your hostage and we will leave together. Shui Lin's expression did not change as she secretly transmitted her voice. Yi Qinghan frowned. He felt the fluctuation of Shui Lin's soul. Her strength was still a bit weak after all. Her transmission was intercepted. He was secretly curious. If this one-armed man was so strong, then the 9 people who died before them were probably not simple either. If 9 people could not protect a little girl, then the enemy's family was probably not much different from hell. If I bring these 2 people back to the 9 prefectures, will it attract the attention of a great power? But if I let them go and they betray me, I won't be able to escape. If I fight, it will be easier to expose my location. Yi Qinghan secretly thought, but he could not think of a way to satisfy both sides. Eldest uncle, I will be your hostage. We will leave with you, but you have to bring us into the small territory. Don't worry, after entering the small territory, we will never come out again. We will also not bring the enemy's family into your small territory. We will not cause you any trouble. Shui Lin vowed solemnly. This stinky girl is so smart. She is even calmer than this adult man. She is so farsighted. The divine bird secretly said. Yi Qinghan nodded. He had also noticed this. Come to my side. Yi Qinghan narrowed his eyes and stared at Shui Lin. He said coldly. Shui Lin had just taken a step when she was pulled back by the one-armed man. Shui Lin looked up at the one-armed man and shook her head. 10th uncle, listen to me. We can't take this risk. Sighed at the one-armed man's side and let go of Shui Lin's small hand. Shui Lin was very relaxed. She did not even put up any defense. She even put away the chessboard. This was because she knew that even if she used her full strength, she would not be able to withstand a single slap from Yi Qinghan. Instead of resisting, it was better to get along with Yi Qinghan. Eldest uncle, we really mean you no harm. Don't worry. Shui Lin promised. The divine bird sneered and said disdainfully, if you were not worried about exposing your location, you and your 10th uncle would not be able to defeat my master even if you fought together. How dare you have ill intentions? Shui Lin snorted and ignored the divine bird. Go find some food. Leave Shui Lin with me. She will be fine. Yi Qinghan looked at the one-armed man and said lightly. The one-armed man looked at Shui Lin and gulped. She had not been resting or eating recently. He felt very sorry for her. He stared deeply at Yi Qinghan and turned to leave. Yi Qinghan continued to sit cross-legged on the ground and absorbed the spiritual energy from thousands of miles away. The spiritual energy surged from all directions and poured into his body. 2 hours later, the one-armed man came back with a large amount of spiritual fruits and some fat beasts. Seeing Yi Qinghan cultivate with his eyes closed, he did not disturb him. He threw a few spiritual fruits to Shui Lin. The divine bird did not hesitate and snatched 2 of them. The man dismembered the fat beasts, washed them, and buried them in the ground. He dug a big hole and set it on fire. Soon, a fragrant smell wafted out. This way, he would not expose his location and could still eat cooked meat. It seemed that he had some experience in running for his life. At night, the land of despair was so quiet. However, a gloomy atmosphere filled the air. Some terrifying beasts began to move. In the middle of the night was as dark as ink and the stars twinkled. Yi Qinghan opened his eyes and saw the man staring at him. Shui Lin had fallen asleep beside him. Yi Qinghan waved his hand and took out a thick coat to cover Shui Lin. He slowly stood up and said in a low voice, "How should I address you?" Lin Jun, the one-armed man replied in a low voice. "Okay, Taoist Lin. I know you are strong. If you keep your promise, I will not hurt you. However, I will not allow you to enter the land of the 9 states. When we reach the entrance, you and I will go our separate ways," Yi Qinghan said calmly. The one-armed man's face darkened. This situation was normal. No one was willing to provoke someone who had a strong enemy. Moreover, Yi Qinghan himself had a strong enemy. "I know. When we reach there, I will take the young mistress away. However, I beg Taoist Yi not to hurt a child, Lin Jun replied in a low voice. Don't worry. I'm not that cruel. I have no enmity with you. As long as you don't have any other thoughts, Yi Qinghan said indifferently. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.